I'm going up on the corner, walking around this jewelry store, and all of a sudden, boom, on my left, there's 3 cops just standing there.
And you're open container.
And I got an open container. I'm like, at this point, I'd been in trouble with the police in high school, been in trouble with the police at Princeton. They're not getting me again. I take 1 step towards them, and I just go, boom, and I just book it. And
God.
I'm out.
All that cross-country training got back to you.
Cross-country. Coke, bro.
Of course, I'm that dude that doesn't tie his shoes. One of my shoes falls off.
They have your shoe.
Shoe is gone, but I'm free. I'm good. We're going back out. So I'm waiting outside on the street, where all the partying's going on. And I'm talking to one of my boys, and all of a sudden he's like, I just see the look in his eyes like this. And I just feel somebody grab on my belt.
You can't run now.
Well, I tried. I'm like, shh. I just remember in my head, I'm like, I can either just go hit him with the stiff arm right here and book it, or just take the L and put my hands up. And I don't know what it was, but I guess something came over me, and I was just like, that's it. I'm good. But then I remember being in the cop car. I'm like, all right, the comeback starts like right now.
Oh, you fucking gonna be famous.
Guys are looking sharp.
Zac Dingy,
Tony
Two
Capoletti.
Dudes, Three Legs podcast, where we share business tips, interview experts,
And travel the world.
This week on Two Dudes, Three Legs.
Welcome back to the Two Dudes, Three Legs podcast with your host, Zac Dingy.
Tony Capoletti.
Today, we sit down with Luke Timm, who has an amazing story. We go all over the place. This is a long one. But Luke Timm has overcome alcohol abuse. He has an amazing story. He went to Princeton playing wide receiver. He was an absolute stud of an athlete. And some would say threw it away. But now he found his true mission, helping people to overcome drug abuse and mental health issues. And if you want to follow his story, you can find him at Luke Timm on Instagram. You can find him at Luke Timm on Instagram. And he's Spider-Man in the streets now, asking people questions and working out in New York City.
This man is going to change the world.
We running?
People, we're rolling, dog.
All right, Luke Timm, thank you for coming on the podcast. We have been friends for a long time. We may have partied once or two back in our high school days
I never
together.
got to party with you, dog.
Yeah, we purposely did that.
Not the first time it's happened.
But you have had some great stuff on Instagram, and you're really starting to share your story and
Love
what you've
the
overcome.
content.
So
Appreciate you, my guys. I love what you guys are doing. Seriously, you guys
happy
are
to have you
killing
here,
it.
bro. All right, so I'm going to start with a little bit of what you've done. You said in one of your videos, in your one of your pin videos, that you hold up. I just forgot what I was going to say.
That's why you got it right there.
Start from the top.
That you were a phenomenal athlete and had it all. You're
Look at the guy,
6'3",
bro.
6'4"?
Walks around 7 foot.
6'5" and a
6'5".
quarter. And a quarter, because people try to say, "Oh, you're not 6'5". I'm like, and a quarter.
Okay,
That's
I
how
like
6.
that.
That's how 6'5".
I have the same issue. I tell everyone I'm 6 foot, and they're like, I'm definitely 6
Oh, you're at least 6'1".
Just kidding, guys. 5'4" and a half.
You had everything. You're a phenomenal athlete, and you quote unquote screwed it up, right? And we'll tell that story a little bit later on. But you screwed it up. People know what you did. The one thing people love more than a victory is a
comeback story, baby.
Correct. And that is what you have. So let's start with this question. I'll propose to you.
When did your issues sprout? In high school, were you starting to drink and use?
Yeah, so
was it younger than that?
7th grade.
7th grade. That's middle school.
I started drinking every weekend.
Where'd you go to middle school?
Holy Trinity. I went to Catholic school. I'm a Catholic school boy.
Oh my goodness.
You couldn't tell by the blue fucking suit he shows up for a
at that
podcast.
turtleneck.
I
I
show
love
up in
it.
a little uniform every day.
So tell us about how you were introduced.
Yeah, so for people watching, we had a nice little conversation before about something that was brought up, something that was kind of traumatic in my life. And, I was just going through it. So there was so many different things that were happening in my family, happening around me.
Things that the internet's not ready to hear yet.
Yes, not quite. So hold the footage. Put it in
We'll
the storage. Put it in
We'll hold
the
it.
SD, keep it in the SD card. But, a lot of traumatic stuff was going on in my family. I'll leave it at that. And for some reason, I thought, why not just grab a drink? That's what I saw in my life as a way to have a good time, a way to release, a way to
Now, was
escape.
that for, like, in your mind? Because when I was younger, I would drink, but I just did it for fun.
Yeah.
Was it for you you would intentionally drink to deal with problems, like immediately? Was that your immediate relationship with alcohol?
See, I don't think so. I think maybe, probably the first time I was why not just grab this drink? This stuff is going on, and I've seen people handle it like this.
Just
why not
try
just grab
it.
it?
For fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I loved it. It was awesome.
Yeah.
I mean,
I remember the first time I got drunk.
Yeah.
I was in Gretna Woods in Pleasant Valley, and my brothers gave me shots, and I'm sitting on the couch waiting for it to affect me. I was way too young, but I had 3 older brothers. And then all of a sudden I'm shit-faced, and I fell asleep on the couch. But I was like, this is so cool. Bro, I was probably really young. I was probably like 10 years old.
How old did you say? 12?
But I wasn't drinking regularly. It was like, whatever, we're having a family house party. My brother's like, let's fucking give Tony alcohol.
That's funny. Yeah, once we started, it was every weekend from there. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
So,
That's not what it was like for me.
yeah.
Off the
This
jump.
is awesome. This is what we've been missing.
In 7th grade, though.
Yeah, 7th grade.
Yeah.
End of 7th grade. It was probably springtime.
I was into some bad shit at that age.
Yeah.
I was doing ecstasy. I was hanging out with some
You're a little ahead.
bad people.
We have
You're ahead of
4
the
older
curve.
brothers, so
I wasn't doing it with them.
okay then.
I remember
Usually
I
that's what
hope not,
happens.
man.
I was doing some crazy. I don't know how I never got sucked
Hey,
into
here's
this.
some ecstasy. Jeez.
No,
At least it wasn't your
Bill, don't
brothers.
Not for
all
my
right.
brothers. No. That was just hanging out with the wrong crowd.
Yeah.
And I got into some weird, like when I was way too young. Like
Mm.
on my 14th birthday, I remember I bought a fucking 8-ball, like with my birthday money.
Wow.
Like, go get new shoes. Nah, I think I'll get an 8-ball. We're gonna blow this thing down.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
You were a few
luckily,
years ahead of
like
me.
I used it as a lesson. Like I somehow I woke up to it. Well, it was after my buddy almost cut his father's head off with a katana because he was high on dust. They started using dust.
Angel dust.
And then I was like, once that came around, I was like, wait a second, I can't be doing this shit.
Right.
So I was done hanging out with them kids before high school ended.
Wow.
But I'm lucky. I never got addicted to any of the shit that we did. I just tried it and it was fun and maybe too fun, but I walked away from
They
it.
say that people that have alcoholic addictive tendencies, by the time they're 27, most of them grow out of it. Over half of them grow out of it. So
Because
Interesting.
they started so young.
I don't even know if it's a young thing. I think it's just a culture thing, you know. And then all of a sudden, you get to a certain point in your life and you want to start a family. You know, it's just a different point in your life, and you're just okay. I have different priorities now.
Because I only
think
had
that's
like
what it
a
is.
6-month rampage at like 18 years old when I just did every drug under the sun and partied hard for like 6 months. I'm like, all right, I'm done. Before I even hit 20, you know?
Yeah.
And again, I think the same thing for me was like, all right, I probably shouldn't be doing all this. And I realized it. And I'm like, let's turn this off before it
For
gets
sure.
too dark,
That's,
you know?
that's how I felt. I always felt
Yeah.
about it. The way I felt about it was I'm glad I got it out of the way. Although not to say I didn't party in my early 20s. I still partied a little, but I
Yeah.
knew when to turn it off.
For sure.
You got into it at 12. You start drinking.
12
Are
I
you
started drinking.
are you having thoughts of like
Habitual drinking at 12 years old.
Yeah, once or twice a weekend.
Wow.
Hard shit, like just straight out of the bottle. Yeah.
And you're having issues right off the bat, or first it's all fun and games?
I mean, it was fun, but there was definitely just getting in trouble, like in the neighborhood and stuff. But, you know, cops would kind of be following us, and we lived right in the outskirts of the city of Poughkeepsie. We weren't in the hood, but we were, you know, right there. So we would kind of go in those areas, cause a little bit of trouble, get our little run-ins. But at that point, we weren't doing any criminal shit besides getting drunk,
Right.
you know, and being dumb.
Yeah.
I remember one time there was a point where the cops showed up at my house because of some crazy shit. I might as well tell the story.
Let's hear it.
We're on the podcast, but y'all remember Omegle?
Yeah.
yes,
Oh,
the
Michael?
video chat.
They still do it,
Yeah.
but it's called something else now.
Yeah, so we were like 12 years old.
Just so everyone knows, Omegle is when you would come on with video,
Yeah.
and it would randomly select someone anywhere in the world,
Yeah.
and you'd be on video chat with them, and then
Yeah.
you hit a button and it would send you to someone else.
Yeah.
Okay, so you're on Omegle.
So on Omegle, and again, I think I need to be a little vague for this story, but we were doing some crazy stuff, drunk and whatever, and you're just, it's your on there to do. If you're watching, you know what that stuff.
Being boys.
Being boys. And my parents get a knock on the door, like during the middle of the day. Or actually, my brother and sister answered the door. And they're like, we need to talk to your parents. And my brother and sister are like, what are you talking about? They're like, yeah, it's something about your brother. And so my parents get a call from them saying, hey, there's police at your house, like you need to come. And I wasn't home. And crazy thing was my mom's brother passed away when he was 19, and they found out like by the police giving them a call on the phone.
Oh, jeez.
So, they told me afterwards that they get that call and they're thinking
Instant trauma.
Luke is dead.
Yeah.
And I was already like a troublemaker just doing dumb stuff. So that was their initial thoughts. They get back to the house and it was like, is this your son? And it's just me doing something really stupid on camera. That's all I can say.
What, did you omegle with an FBI agent?
Basically, probably. I don't know. Luckily, I never had to talk to them, but I was like 13 years old.
Oh my God.
Yeah, that was pretty horrific.
Was it drugs? Was it nudity? Can you give me something?
I mean, like,
I'm gonna take a guess that he had his piccolo out.
Yeah, that's my guess, right?
Yeah,
That's my guess.
That's just my guess. I don't know.
But it's just a guess. You know what I
Okay.
mean? So
He will not confirm or
Fair.
deny.
I would never. Yeah,
Fair.
no.
Okay.
'Cause
And
that's
that
not
was,
me.
you're 14 years old, 13 years old?
13, yeah. Before
And
high school.
when you're drinking at this age, is there drugs or does that get introduced at another stage?
Weed when I was 15,
Yep,
and then
yep.
total stoner at the age of 16.
Yep,
Junior year,
same.
just smoking every single day. First, it was like just after school type of stuff, and then it was senior year. It was before people had the dab pens. We were getting tons of wax in like a tub. I remember ordering 11 grams of wax, and we would bring that into school, have the G pen, me and my one other buddy. And we had, Lourdes is pretty strict. I don't know about other public schools, but you couldn't, more than one person couldn't go to the bathroom at a time, and you know, whatever, people monitoring the halls. But we would always hit each other up and be like, yo, bathroom. And for some reason, all of our classes were on the same hall, but not in the same class. So we would just go to the stall and just rip like whatever.
And it wouldn't stink? How do you get away with that?
It was just, you know, like,
wax.
yeah, it's got a
I
kind
never
of a
smoked
smell
wax.
to it, but back then it wasn't like everybody had those. So
Nobody really
knew. You know, nobody knew the smell.
I guess I'm
so-
a little older. We were smoking middies. If you lit up middies in a school, they'd
Yeah, no,
evacuate
you're
the
gone.
building.
That's
You're
a
gone.
little different.
Right.
That's a little different.
Yeah, you take one hit in school and
Fucking $30 for 5 grams, smoke it, and you're like,
you're out of
yeah.
cuffs. Yeah.
Lose fucking 40 brain cells per second.
Yeah. So basically, I was just a freaking, you know, a dud walking through school all day and then still doing sports and shit. So.
But you were able to be a performing athlete,
Yeah.
not just like a run-of-the-mill athlete. You were like a star athlete, smoking weed and drinking on the weekends.
Yeah, that's how it was. And that's why I never thought of it as a problem, because even though I got in a lot of trouble, you know, maybe we'll go into some other stories, but I got into a lot of trouble in school and a couple times with the cops before, you know, I even got to Princeton when I got in more trouble. I was just like, what do you mean it's a problem? Like, people would tell me, I'm like, what do you mean it's a problem? Look at me and look at you. I had a big ego. And, you know, I think a lot of that came because I feel like when I was younger, I didn't really have a spotlight on me. When I was, you know, 8th grade, 9th grade, even 10th grade, I was like a cross country runner. I just started playing football as a 10th grader. And so I think I kind of was just like a goofball in school, and I kind of got, you know, I was funny, but I definitely got picked on a little bit too at the same time by like older kids, because you're trying to be cool with the old guys. Mm-hmm. And then you become that guy, you know what I mean? So I won't think I was necessarily an asshole to anybody, but I just think when people try to tell me like what I should do, who are you to tell me what to do?
And that's crazy though. I didn't know that you didn't start football until 10th grade.
10th grade,
and now
yeah.
you, for the people who don't know, obviously a lot of people watching this aren't from Poughkeepsie, but when you started playing football at Lourdes, Dean Rogers is the quarterback.
Yep.
You're the wide receiver. It was like everyone in Dutchess County knew and was going to those games. They were the biggest games ever.
Yeah.
So you go from being like a nobody really to, you know, the number one receiver and the number one quarterback in Dutchess County, and you guys are destroying every team, and you're getting all this praise and all this hype, and people are telling you to stop doing drugs.
Yeah,
So
people are like, come on, what are you doing? And, you know, the people close to me knew I was, you know, people knew I was partying, but then people close to me knew I was smoking a lot of weed and just, you know, just not doing the right things. And I was like, who are you to tell me what to do? Look at me. Like, I got all these looks. I'm doing fine in school. Meanwhile, I'm cheating the entire time. You know, and I was always a great student in school. That was the thing. But I got to high school, and all I cared about was being funny, partying.
You have
know,
any
girls.
reservations about what you did when you were younger? I know I certainly have.
Yeah,
regrets.
I mean, like, I don't dwell on it, but there's some times where I'm like, if I knew what I knew now, for all the kids listening, if I knew what I knew now, it's not like I would never drink, or knowing myself, yes, I wouldn't have drank in high school. I still wouldn't have done it. But I would have taken school more seriously. As boring as school is, as much as it sucked, I would have taken it seriously. The sports, I would have gone harder on the out. Like, whenever I was in practice, I always went hard. I was the hardest working one there. Nobody could take that from me. But it was hard to get me, like, to the spring lifts or to the summer camp or whatever it was. I was like, oh, I'm out with this chick. I'm out doing this, partying, smoking, it's hard to get me there. So I didn't have that like, putting the work in the after hours. But you know, you don't realize that even though, what is school going to do? That was my thought. What is school to do? Yeah, learning about social studies is not going to do me anything besides maybe knowing a story or two.
That was my mentality as well.
But you take those habits everywhere you go.
I think what you just said about the ego is so unique, because what made you so good also made you so bad. Your ego was the reason why you would go to practice and you were number one, because you had that sickening work ethic and you wouldn't let people outdo you. But your ego is also the reason why you do the bad things, you know?
100%.
What's your thoughts on your ego today? Like, what do you think? Do you think ego is the enemy? The book Ego is the enemy, or ego's a good thing?
I think it's both. I think if I didn't care about what other people thought, if I didn't, you know, I'm not going to sit here and say, I don't care what people think about me on social media or in person. Like, yeah, I want people to like me, of course. And I want to do things that people are like, oh, wow, that's cool. So I'm not going to sit here and lie and say, oh, it's all for just to be a good person and to, you know, whatever, and have fun. But if you also let that stuff control you and that is your main focus of, I just want to impress everybody, then at the end of the day, it's like, you're not going to be happy. Like, just
you're not even living for yourself at that point.
No, the person you are in general, you're just even if you can hide it to other people, you're just like, you're a shitty person underneath, and it's got to feel like crap. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, listen, we'll talk about what you're doing on social media in a little bit, but I think my whole life philosophy is like, the person with the best stories at the end of their life wins that life. Yeah. So I think a lot of the stuff you did when you were in high school and when you were in college and your crazy stories, obviously some are extreme and you wish you could take back. But for the most part, you had to do all that to be able to be on social media now, helping people, telling people, hey, listen, I know what you've gone through. I remember these thoughts and these problems I had, and that's why I can relate and help you and do this, you know? And what I said before about how life happens for you, not to you. You know what I mean? Like, everything you did, being 6'5", being a freak athlete, and maybe potentially going to the NFL if you took it more serious, could also be your best blessing that it didn't happen, and now you have this life path where you're Spider-Man in the streets of New York City interviewing people.
Yo, for real.
Which we'll talk about later.
Like, how do you look at this glass right here? You know what I mean? It's that's the, like they say, half full, half empty. I mean, that's a little bit more than half, but you know, that's 100%. I've always had a positive outlook no matter what, even when I was going through the ringer, right? Like, I was kicked out of Princeton. I was coming home. There was news articles. People would be on Google and there'd be little Google ads running on the side. Local star arrested. I was on the local news channel. All these different things. Like, people were sending messages to my parents.
And you said this was when you got into college, or
this is when I got arrested at Princeton.
Well, let's talk about that transition a little bit. Yeah. So you're in high school. You did fucking phenomenal in your football career. You're the star.
I broke 4 state records.
Really?
Yeah. All these.
Give us some accolades at Lords.
Okay,
so I think my senior year I had over 1,600 yards. That was a state record. I had the most catches in a game ever. That was 18 catches. I had the most catches in a state game ever. That was 18 catches. Wow. Most yards in a state championship game as well, 280 yards.
And all while drinking and smoking weed.
Drinking and smoking weed, baby. That was the problem, because I'm like, what do you mean? This isn't hindering me at all.
But apparently it wasn't a problem in high school.
Right.
So now let's talk about the transition to college and where it became
I also want to say, like, if it wasn't for God-given talents, you know, it's like, really, like, where would I have been? Most people that were doing those things weren't able to achieve what I was doing. And I also, when I say that, I'm like, yes, a lot of God-given talents, right? Like, just being naturally 6'5" and being able to run fast, like,
and a quarter.
And a what?
And a quarter.
And a quarter. And a quarter.
You said that before. Try to get
6'5" and a quarter. Also, I worked my ass off from the time I was like 4 years old all the way up until, you know, when I really started drinking was actually kind of when my work ethic dropped off in the classroom, in sports. I was a cross country runner up until my freshman year of high school. I was like top 10 in the nation. I ran a 4:30 mile at the age of 14.
Wow.
But I was 6'3" and 130 pounds. I was like this.
You were a stick figure.
A stick. But when I was really young, my dad would go to the track and he would run around the track and he'd bring us and he would like bring a football for us and just be like, all right, guys, stay in the middle of the track like while dad runs. And I was 3 or 4 years old and I didn't want to leave by my dad's side. So I would chase after him and I've would be running laps with him.
At what age?
3, 4.
So you're probably my height around then?
Probably an inch or two taller. But and 5 foot out of the womb. But that's where my running started. And I was doing local races in this area, the Dutchess County Classic. Have you guys heard of that race in this area or no?
No.
So like for anybody that runs, it's the biggest race. And they would have this kids race, the mile. And every summer we would train for that race. And there was like a couple really good runners that came out of Poughkeepsie that went and ran in college. And I would like look up to them and be like, all right, I want to beat those times. And so, you know, my last time I ran it, I got that record by like a second. It was like a 5:34 mile when I was 12. So I was a runner. I was a runner, but then I also played baseball, soccer, basketball. I played football up until like 3rd grade, you know, but stopped when I was young. But yeah, I had a great work ethic, but I didn't really carry that into high school, like the going above and beyond. When I was there, like you said, it was Jordan mentality. I'm gonna outwork anybody that's in this room, and everybody knew that too. Like, and that's I think what gave me the edge. So it was like, yeah, I'm lazy because I don't want to put the extra work in. But when I was there, it was like freaking honed.
So correct me if I'm wrong. Princeton's an Ivy League school.
Yeah, Princeton's Ivy League.
So what is it like? Like in high school, what was your GPA? Were you still killing it?
3.45, like a 3.45 was my GPA overall.
So you're still doing good though in class.
I was doing fine, but in grade school I was like high 90s. Yeah, you know. So for me to get a 3.45, like I really had to not try at all. You know what I mean? Like school
exactly how I did it. I fell off big time in high school when I started hanging out with the wrong people. Yeah. I was wrestling like top tier. Actually, the day I was supposed to wrestle for varsity, I got into a fight in the cafeteria. And then I quit because I was like, if I'm not wrestling varsity, I'm not fucking wrestling. Fuck that. So that ended that for me. But tell us about going to Princeton. That's an insane experience in itself as a star athlete.
Yeah. Well, you're a star in Poughkeepsie, right? And then, you know, you think...
show up in Princeton and now you're just regular Joe Schmo.
Regular Joe Schmo. I'm below regular Joe. I'm nowhere near regular Joe Schmo.
Really? It was like that?
I think it's funny because I went into Princeton. I didn't train. I trained for maybe 3 or 4 days before I left.
Yeah, that's not training.
Doesn't count. It's like, oh yeah, I'm dieting. I started yesterday. You know, it's like I haven't done anything yet. Didn't look at the playbook once. Nothing. So we show up. It's the first day. It's conditioning, and it's like this conditioning test is you have to go 25 yards and back in 7 seconds, under 7 seconds every time. But you only get like a 30-second break in between. So the first 5, oh, this is easy. But that break is so short that all of a sudden you are just starting to get gassed. And a third of the guys fail it. And these guys are training all summer. But luckily, my cross-country self, I was smoking weed every single day.
Oh, my God.
Didn't train at all, but I had that cross-country, long legs, skinny, and I just barely passed it.
Wow.
But then that was me. It was just, when I got to Princeton, just barely getting by and everything. You know, just going underneath the radar in the meetings, you know, barely. It's like everything was just doing enough, barely passing.
And in your mind at this time, is that even a problem? Or you think, hey, this is college, I'm just doing it. I'm just out here.
It's just college.
So it was never an issue in your mind.
I'm just going to graduate from Princeton and, you know, get a job like
everybody else.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. My GPA doesn't matter. I'm just going to have a good time. I'm going to meet people. And so I kind of thrived on that because I had that reputation on the team, and like some people loved it. Like Luke Timm's the crazy party animal. He doesn't care. Like he's just out there, does what he wants, says whatever. And then the other guys that were trying to win a championship were like, this fucking guy. Like he didn't come in. He didn't look at the playbook. He didn't work out. He's a detriment to our team.
Yeah.
So I had some people look at me like they love me. Some people were like, you know, fuck this guy. And so there's, you know.
You made some enemies right in the beginning.
Yeah, right from the start. And it's funny, I'll tell stories. You know, I go to Princeton, I'm like, oh, you know what, I'm done smoking weed. That's what I thought. I'm like, you know what, I do need to stop smoking weed. So I did have realizations when I was young that, okay, I shouldn't be smoking this much weed. So I'm probably like a couple of days clean, not smoking, and, you know, all of a sudden you're in camp and you meet some people, and you know, we're just talking like, oh yeah, you know, yeah, we like to smoke here. And I'm like, you like to smoke? I'm like, I like to smoke. No, you guys don't like to smoke. Like, I like to smoke. Like on my acceptance students day at Princeton, 420, it was on 420.
Oh God!
I bought my bong with my dab attachment. It's fucking went
I've
ape
never
shit.
dabbed in my life.
Yeah,
Oh,
so
God.
I don't think I need that.
you
Dabs
don't.
are no joke.
I don't
You
need
don't
that.
need it. They're like walking around brain dead. So I was doing all these things to get that reputation. I loved it, but looking back, I'm like, it's stupid. It's stupid. But whatever, that was me. So one day, we're all in my dorm, a bunch of people. I won't say if they're on the football team. I won't say who they are, but a bunch of people are smoking, and cops come, knock, knock, and they're like, one of you has to take the fall for this. So, you know me.
The
I'm
fall
that
for
guy.
what?
I'm that guy for everybody smoking in the dorm. I'm sorry, did I not even get to that?
No, you
Because
might
we were
have said
talking
it,
about smoking. So I was like, yeah, we're just going to assume. We were all smoking.
I thought
And they're
something
like, yeah, you got to take the
else
fall.
happened.
No, luckily, nothing crazy like that. And so right off the bat, I had a story of getting caught with the police, and I had to go address my head coaches.
Oh, shit.
Before freshman year even started, my head coach was like, do you have a problem? I'm like, no, I really don't. My head coach is the man, absolute man. I'm just like, no, I'm good. He's like, all right, I trust you. But and then the next morning they made me run at 6 a.m. tons and tons of times up and down the field, almost till I was throwing up, stuff like that. Mm-hmm. So there was just that constant
But
thing
that
was
didn't
going
stop
on.
you from going back and smoking weed.
Oh no, not at all. I probably smoked right after that.
Oh my God.
The next moment. Went to the station, got my fingerprints done, mug shot, yeah. And the school, I don't even know, because it was the school police, but
I'm surprised they allowed you to stay on the football team.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I always was a good actor, I feel like.
Good at getting your
Good
way
at,
out of shit.
Yeah, I'm a good finesser,
Yeah.
I feel like. So I was always I really care, and it's just, it was something stupid, and it's all right, they believe me, but on the shit list right from the jump.
Yeah.
And so that was my reputation.
Tell us about the party scene at Princeton.
The party scene is interesting. So we have these things, they're called eating clubs. They're basically a bunch of huge frat houses, all from 1800s, early 1900s, gigantic mansions. And it's on this strip called Prospect Ave. And, Princeton you got tons of different types of crowd. You got, obviously, your nerds, makes up a huge amount of the people.
Yeah.
You got your partiers that are just straight up do tons of drugs, which I wasn't really part of. They're just tripping all day and, a little out there.
Yeah.
Princeton, huh?
You got your bros, the athlete clubs, there's a couple of those. That's kind of where I fell in. So you got your different places. And then, so everybody, that's called bickering. It's pledging for the frat, and then people join these eating clubs. And so you got to get on the lists and whatnot every single night when you go out. So if you're on the football team, though, people, you usually know people that are in. It's not that difficult to get in, but some of them are super exclusive, legit. Everybody's worth $100 million to billions. I would say almost everybody. Yeah, Princeton was a culture shock because almost I'd say majority of people have money, real money, old money, millions on millions of dollars. And so when people talk, it can sometimes just be out there. I was vacationing in here in Europe, and then, we took our jet to here, and then we did this, and then, but it's just super normal. It's as if we were talking about going to the corner store and grabbing a six-pack.
It's a wild lifestyle.
You meet people I know the amount of billionaires I've met at Princeton, legit billionaires, they'll be on Forbes lists. There's a ton.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
That's incredible. I'm sorry to get off tangent, but I got to go back. Why'd you pick Princeton? Why'd you go to Princeton?
It was Princeton's the number one school in the country. I think it's been number one 11 years in a row or something like that. So it was
Really?
Yeah, the best school in the country, undergrad wise. Yeah, everyone thinks freaking Harvard. They're Harvard, yeah, but those schools, they have a big grad programs, and their undergrad is a little bigger as well. So that's what they have, a wider alumni network, because there's just more people. But Princeton's only 5,000 people. It's a little smaller.
Got it.
But their main focus is on undergrad. So that's why our program for undergrad is deemed the best every single year.
Got it.
So
Okay.
it was the best for that. In the Ivy League for football, we were top 2 or 3 every single year.
Yep, I know that.
Wasn't far from me. Campus was beautiful. The coaches loved me. I have in my basement on the walls, there's 40 little things of mail that have Princeton on it with handwritten notes from the coaches because they wanted me to come. So just stuff like that, where it was kind of a no-brainer. And It's funny because I almost didn't go to the camp to get me into Princeton to play there. I didn't get an offer because just through my play. It was also because I went to the camp and earned the scholarship on the spot, because they want to see you play. They want to see you in person, really size you up. And so I remember I had a pretty beat up ankle that summer, and it was mostly due to the fact that I was too lazy to rehab it, too lazy to work on it. And so that was my excuse to not train too. So I'm like, oh, my ankle hurts, I'm not gonna train. But then I was too lazy to even rehab it. So I was kind of just sitting on the couch all summer, and then I would just go to a camp like once a week, you know. And so I remember the Princeton camp was coming up, and I was like, Dad, I really don't wanna go. And my dad has never made me do anything in my life. People always say to my dad, wow, you must have made your kids work so hard. And it's like, I never told them to work out one time in their life. And that's a fact. I think it was, you know, him running at the track, me just following him. He would play hoops in leagues, and I would just go watch, you know, so I want to be like my dad, you know what I mean? So that's really what it was following his footsteps. But then all of a sudden, this one time in my life, for some reason, he was like, no, like, come on, you're going to this camp.
Yeah.
And I'm like,
And
all right,
thank God
fine.
he did.
Thank God he did.
Yeah.
Because I've had the best, that was the best camp I had by far. For some reason, it was almost like divine intervention, I'm telling you. Like anything that touched my hands was a catch. Like I wasn't a great one-handed catcher. My coach was always like 2 hands, old-fashioned. I mean, that's the way to go. Use 2 hands. Like why I try to be fancy. But for some reason, it was just everything was just like.
It was meant to be, bro. It was
and they
meant
just like
to
offered
be.
me right in the middle of the camp. And so.
How did that feel? Tell us about that feeling.
Yeah, it felt good, man. I mean, I'm out there.
You remember that moment?
Yeah, I do. I remember when they pulled me aside and they were like, yeah, we want to give you a spot.
You crying? You sweating? What's up?
You're not crying. You're just like, holy, like this is
Wow,
real,
this is
you know,
real.
this is definitely real. And I basically, my day was done because my ankle was pretty beat up. So I did a little bit more after that. I did a couple one-on-ones, but you know, they saw all they needed to see. They're like, you're good for the day. Cause I told them it was beat up, but yeah, it was definitely a surreal moment for sure. And so once I had that, and I saw how much they were pursuing me, I'm like, why even look anywhere else? And I talked to the guys on the team. I had official visits, and I was like, you know what, this is
it.
Yeah, this is it.
All right,
you know?
so let's get back to the party scene. What's the party scene like? You got
party
these
scene.
eating clubs. You're meeting billionaires.
Meeting
What's it like?
billionaires.
Tell us how that goes sour.
So the thing that's dangerous about these eating clubs is that the beer is on tap, free.
Hey.
From, you know, the time the party starts to the time the
That's
party
your
ends.
alcohol of choice in college? Beer?
Well, that was the free alcohol, but yeah, you know, I mean,
Anything you can get your hands on.
I think before it was more so just carrying a handle around and chugging it from the bottle.
Oh.
I was that guy that I could chug the most out of anybody. Like I could take a bottle and like, you know, Steve will do it type stuff.
Yeah, yeah.
Like that was me, because I always was drinking hard stuff since I was 12 years old.
Like vodka, tequila was your drink of choice.
It didn't matter.
Okay.
Like I don't think I got to the
True
point.
alcoholic.
Yes, true alcohol. I never got to the point in my life where I was able to actually enjoy the actual taste of drinking. It was literally just to get hammered. I like
For the
beer.
effect.
Beer tasted good, but it wasn't like, oh, my favorite beer. Like, yeah, like Ronas with the lime, like under the sun.
Great.
I remember those hit
I'll
good.
take it.
I don't really remember like much about it. It's been so long, but I know Ronas with a lime cold under the sun.
Yeah.
Those are different.
That's
So-
a good one
so-
right
Those
there.
are different.
That's a good one right there.
Let's get into when this becomes a big problem in college.
Yeah. So, you know, I got in trouble that one time, and then it's just partying, and I'm hanging out with all the guys that love to get messed up.
Yeah.
Of course, you know, you hang out with your own company. So I remember we would just be like, who's blacking out tonight? And I would be like, you know, we're all like, we're blacking out. You know, that was the mentality. It was never like, oh, let's just go out and have, it was like, no, we're getting bombed every time, you know? So like, there would just be blackouts, things you don't remember, and you would just hear some crazy stories, and it's just like, dude, what was I doing? And like, some of them were not cool, you know, like things that I'm like, I don't like that at all. But whatever, like, oh, you're drunk, it's fine.
Are you blacking out off just alcohol?
Yeah, like I wasn't that crazy actually freshman year with Coke. I did it here and there, but yeah, it was mostly just getting hammered off of booze, and I would always like roll up blunts too and bring those out. Yeah, I always had a lot of weed on me and drugs on me. There's certain types of people that have a lot of those stuff on them at all times because they're doing something with it. Again, we'll be vague about that. Always had a lot of weed. Oh, you know, always was that guy. So,
Yeah.
you know.
Why not make some money?
Well, I didn't say make money off it, did I?
No, you didn't say that.
I didn't say that.
No, but you might have.
No, maybe. Can't remember. But so I was waking up, smoking, going to Spanish class, you know, stone. Hablo Espanol. Soy Luke. Me amo Luke. And I'm just sitting there. I'm like, oh, I get it. It was probably like,
not saying what you thought you were
static
saying.
on the other end. Didn't even understand a thing. But go to practice stone, everything stone. Like that was just how I did it. But it was, and my freshman year, I wasn't competing for a job because I didn't know the plays. But it was like on scout team, I was same deal, still balls to the wall. Like they were like, yo, okay, like Luke Timm, he doesn't know shit about the plays, but this dude works his ass off.
Yeah.
And I brought
So
energy.
you're performing on the field.
Yeah, like I wasn't performing for a starting spot, but I wasn't, at the same time, I was a shithead. Like a lot of people thought I was me as a shithead, the guys that really cared. But at the same time, they also saw me on scout team cooking them.
Yeah.
Like really working hard, like every play running my route as hard as I could.
Okay.
So like there was some respect, like, okay, Luke, he doesn't care enough to learn the plays, but like when we can actually get him here, he's good.
Okay.
You know?
So how long does this go on? How many seasons did you get?
I got a season out. Go into the spring happens. We have spring ball, football, and that's kind of like a mini football season. Go into the summer, and I'm like, all right, I'm gonna stay over the summer, work on my game, take a class. And I actually remember not smoking that much weed that summer. I was working out with the guys, and that's when people actually were like, yo, Luke Timm is actually nice at football, because it was kind of hidden because I just didn't give a shit. And they're like, yo, Luke Timm is cooking right now. Like, I'm like, yeah, no, I am actually good. I kind of forgot about that, And I remember I hurt my ankle at the end of the summer, and I don't know what it was, but I just remember being like, you know what, I think I'm going to take some time off from football and just focus on school.
Oh, God.
Jeez, Luke, what were you thinking? So I take some time off from the team. I'm going to focus on my grades because I had a 1.7 cumulative GPA. Not good.
My.
Not good. Not good. So I'm like, I'm going to focus on school. So what do? I get back into school and start smoking weed every second of every day again.
Oh, my goodness.
Start doing blow Thursday, Friday, Saturday night. Heavy. Had it on me at all times. So I'm getting really into the party scene, like big time. And, it was fun. I'm not going to sit here and be like, man, it wasn't fun. Because, I remember it definitely being a good time, for sure.
Comes at a cost.
It comes at a cost, 100%. And I was doing a frat, all this stuff. But frats weren't like a above ground thing. They were underground. So it was kind of like a secretive thing, but all that hazing and whatnot. And it was fun. It was definitely a good time. But then it got to the point one night, doing a bunch of blow, and all of a sudden I remember being the last person there because I had to get my last line in before I went out. I'm like, oh, I don't think I got my line in. Like, what am I doing? So, chop a fat one, do that, look up, nobody's there. And I'm like, oh, shoot, I got to go. So about to walk out the door, and all of a sudden I see a beer. I'm like, all right, let me take this with me. Take it, walk out, go down the flight of steps. And I'm off campus at this point, an apartment, but campus is right across the street. And I'm going up on the corner, walking around this jewelry store, and all of a sudden, boom, on my left, there's 3 cops just standing there.
And you're open container.
And I got an open container. I'm like, what's up, officers? Like, can we see an ID? I'm like, oh, I don't have an ID. So the cop goes, oh, all right, go over there. They're gonna talk to you, to these other cops that were 10 feet behind him. At this point, I'd been in trouble with the police in high school, been in trouble with the police at Princeton. I'm like, they're not getting me again. So I thought. And I take one step towards them, and I just go, boom, and I just book it. And
God.
I'm out. All of a sudden.
All that cross-country training got back to me. Yeah.
Cross-country. Coke, bro.
Yeah. That Coke cross-country training. That shit kicked right away. I just go, boom. And of course, I'm that dude that doesn't tie his shoes. One of my shoes falls off.
Oh, my God.
And I just, all of a sudden, my shoe's gone, and I hear a cop. He's like, we got a 314, we got a 314. And this dude's chasing me, and I'm just, and I'm trying to kick my shoe off as I'm running, but I couldn't get it off, so I'm running with one shoe. Quarter mile later, I probably turn around, nobody in sight. Gone. So
They have your shoe.
my shoe's gone. Shoe is gone, but I'm free. I'm good. I go back to my room, probably do a little bit of something else, change my shirt, throw on a hat. And I'm like, we're going back out. And so head back out to where I was telling you about, Prospect Street. Go to one of the eating clubs. We're out there partying. I remember just throwing them back, telling people about it, like, oh, ran from the police, blah, blah. And that night, it was probably like 1 or 2 o'clock, and people were like, we're going to this other club. And that wasn't a usual spot that we went to. And so didn't have my name on the list. But if you know somebody, like usually they can get you in, like they know officers that are in the club, they can get you in. And one of my buddies like, oh, I got you, like I'm gonna get you in, one of the older guys. I'm like, all right, cool. He's like, wait outside. So I'm waiting outside on the street, you know, where all the partying's going on. And I'm talking to one of my boys, and all of a sudden he's like, I just see the look in his eyes like this. And I just feel somebody grab on my belt. And I'm just like,
you can't run now.
well, I tried. I'm like, shh. And all of a sudden I got this cop on my belt. And you ever play Kill the Carrier when you were younger?
Yes.
And you just like, you got a guy holding your shirt, and you're kind of whipping him around because you have your momentum.
Yeah,
so he's kind of just spinning around me. And all of a sudden, I just remember in my head, I'm like, I can either just go hit him with the stiff arm right here and book it, or just take the L and put my hands up. And I don't know what it was, but I guess something came over me, and I was just like, that's it, I'm good. And so like, I give him a little bit, I don't put my hands on him. I never physically touched the officer, but I wasn't also getting tossed to the ground either. Like I was keeping my footing. And then so he grabbed me, and he like fell backwards and rolled me over. And as he's like rolling me over, I'm trying to like throw this bag of Coke out of my pocket. I'm like trying to get rid of it. Yeah, he saw that like 30 seconds later. He's like, oh, you think I didn't see what you were doing? I'm like, all right, I thought I was slick.
I got you something. You're going to find it anyway. Let me try.
You know, I got a fat blunt rolled up. And so this guy's on top of me, cuffing me up. And all of a sudden I look up, and there's a couple hundred people just all just like, just chatting. And, you know, like, I got that video on my Instagram of like my buddy taking a video of me. I'm like, what an asshole. But thank God he took the video, because I got that for some good footage. But yeah, it was nuts. And I remember, this goes back to that glass half full mindset. I remember getting put in the cop car. Remember, first thing I did, I apologized to the cop. I was like, listen, I didn't mean to like mess up your night. I'm sorry. Not trying to like get myself out of anything. Like, you know, that was stupid, my bad. And he's like, no, it's, you know, I get it, it happens, whatever. But then I remember being in the cop car, I'm like, all right, the comeback starts like right now. You know, I want to start a YouTube channel. I want to document my comeback. You know, like
It happened that quick?
Within probably like a minute. That's my thought process.
Wow.
That's where my head is at. That doesn't mean that's what I exactly did afterwards, but I always had that glass half full mindset to my demise, right? To the point where, you know, I thought I was good enough to handle it all, to handle the partying, handle the school, handle this, because I thought I had it all figured out. Yeah. But I didn't. So that was the same thing that kind of happened. Should I just keep going, or?
Well, I want to know what happened after you got arrested with coke.
Yeah, so how does that go? You go to jail and
I get arrested with coke. I go to the jail, mug shots, fingerprints, keep me there, cuffed up for the night. And then like probably like 6 a.m. in the morning, they let me go. And so I'm like, all right, go back to my buddy's place. I remember I smoked a blunt.
Let you go with no charges?
Oh, I had charges. Yeah, sorry. I had a bunch of charges.
You get kicked out of Princeton for having coke on you?
Well, yeah, I'll get to that, guys. Yeah, Jesus, give me a second. Shit. Of the night. And so I leave. You know, they let me go at like 6 a.m.
Listen, before he tells you about how he got kicked out, he had to go home and smoke a blunt.
I had to go smoke a blunt. Gosh, jeez, it's my ritual. And then the process started. Obviously, everybody finds out. Luckily, they have a 3-strike policy. Mine was a little more severe, my second strike. So, like I said, kind of a finesser. And I think I definitely started to mean it. So, you know, we had a bunch of meetings with the deans, and they're on the fence of keeping me. Like 50-50. Like, we're either going to suspend you for the year or you're gone for good. And this is when I really started having my awakenings. Like, all right, I remember talking to them this one time, and I started break down crying. And I'm like, I know I have a great opportunity, and I know I have a problem, and I really do want to be able to go and fix this problem. And I'm like crying, and I'm like, I don't want to be like other people that have, you know, had these opportunities and messed it up. Like, I do want to do good on this. And so that was like, all right, my head started going that direction. So I went home. They suspended me for the year. That was their decision. They suspend you for the year. You're to come back. You'll be in like, you know, you'll have to do some therapy and stuff when you're here, but you know, you're gonna be able to come back if you do everything right. Go home. I'm like, all right, I gotta get sober. So I get sober for probably 2 weeks. I remember my cousin has a wedding, and I'm like, all right, I'm not gonna drink. I'm not gonna do anything. End up like near the end of the night having a couple drinks, finding I don't know where my dab pen always comes from, but I must have had it like ready to go because then I had the dab pen again. Same deal. And for me, it was like, it's always 0 to 100. You know, it's like, all right, once I start, right back to the races. So then I was smoking weed every single day again. I was never the type of drinker that was drinking every single day, but it was when I drank, I wanted to get messed up. Like I wasn't trying to have, let's have a six pack.
It's like the trigger.
Yeah. You know, for me, it was like, I never saw alcohol as something that, you know, you had to respect and you had to, you know, just be careful with it. It was always like, this is just totally for me to get into another whole other mind.
Yep.
State of mind, right? That's all
I can relate.
Yeah. I don't care
Now,
about.
here's the interesting thing for me though, because the environment is so important, because like you knew in your mind that you shouldn't have been doing it and that you were messing up the opportunity. Like in real time, you knew that in the dean's office. And then you go home and you're outside of that environment. So I would think when you go home and you're not with the people that are making you, so to speak, get drunk, you would become sober. But as soon as you have a trigger, you have one drink, you're right back into this routine.
It was that wedding. I probably had 2 or 3 weeks, and then that wedding, I remember telling people like, yeah, I'm not drinking anymore. But then like all of a sudden I see everybody drinking, and I'm having a pretty good time, but I'm like, you know, open bar, I'm a 19-year-old dude, and there's like chicks at this wedding. I'm like, oh, I didn't learn how to like be a sober person, like the sober person I am today. I didn't.
What is your family doing at that time? Are they telling you like, don't stop?
Yeah.
Like,
they don't want me to drink. No, everybody was like, I was secretly drinking at the wedding.
Oh, okay.
For sure. Yeah. No,
okay.
I wasn't like, it wasn't an open thing. I was like, go to the bar
That's a
quick,
tough habit.
Just go
at 19, secretly drinking.
Yeah, for sure. No, nobody wanted me to drink. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
And alcoholism, that type of stuff runs in the family, as we were talking about before.
Typically genetic.
Yes, very much so. So, people knew, like, all right, you got it. And I'm like, and I knew I had it too, but that doesn't mean like you're just going to stop because you know. You know what I mean? Like, awareness is the first step, but it's not the only step. So I knew, but I didn't really know, like, I didn't have any tools at my disposal. I wasn't working on myself at all. So I just went back into that habit. And then a month would go by, and there was always friction between me and my mom, because my mom was really strict growing up. Mm-hmm. So when I was doing the partying and stuff, we were always fighting. I'd be getting kicked out of the house, stuff like that, even in high school.
How many times did you like try and stop and it didn't work? Is this
probably like 3 or 4 times when I was that year that I was off of school at Princeton when I was 19 years old, when I got kicked out of school. Probably like 3 or 4 times. I would try for a couple weeks, and then it would be like, oh, I'm just gonna go to see this friend. I haven't seen him in a bit. And a lot of my friends are at college, luckily, but they would come back from school. I'd be like, yeah, like, let's just chill. And I remember this one time my buddy was smoking. I'm like, yeah, like, I'm good. Like, I don't smoke anymore. And then I was like, let me just take a hit, let me just take a couple hits. I'm like, yeah, dude, you know what? I'm good. Like, as long as we just chill on the weekends, a week later, every single day, So it was just a cycle of that. And it got to the point where I was kicked out of my house. I'm living like friends to friends house, couch to couch. I had a job as a waiter at Table Talk Diner. You guys remember that diner?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. That diner.
Shut down.
Yeah, it's shut down.
And it was probably the best diner around here.
Dude, it was amazing.
And it was on Route 9, poppin' place.
But for some reason, that location, it's like...
Yeah, now it's like a
restaurants go to die.
Crab shack.
Yeah, restaurants go to die there. I don't know if it's just because it's down on the hill. You don't really see it as much. But it's right on Route 9. Tons of cars going by. You'd think, wow, that'd be a great spot. But I was working there as a waiter. And I remember that was like definitely kind of humbling. Like, I kind of had a mentality like, I'm going back to Princeton. So
I think I came in there one time and you were my waiter.
I bet that's the case. I waited on so many people. I mean, how many people were going to Table Talk?
Yeah.
Everybody was going there. You know what I mean?
Wow, I don't even remember that until you just said it, bro. I'm pretty sure that.
Oh, I guarantee. If you went to Table Talk, I was your waiter for sure.
No shit.
Yeah, the best service in the A45.
I just put 2 and 2 together. That was crazy.
Need bread?
What'd you say you wanted?
All right, so April 21st, 2018
April
is
21st.
the day you officially become sober.
The day after 420.
That's right, baby. You had to get the last fucking hoorah.
I had 4 days sober, and then on 420, one of my friends says, yo, me and my girlfriend are going to the insane asylum. You want to go smoke and trip on it?
The one right up here on 9?
You want to go smoke and trip on acid? I'm like, of course I do. So we go to, like the insane asylum. I tell people that, and people are like, that's nuts. But the insane asylum was like, we went there.
Oh, dude.
Once a month we were there.
We would go hang out there all the time. Break
it was
in,
the spot.
run around.
You know what I mean?
It's pretty cool.
It was
man.
awesome. Everyone's like, the insane asylum. I'm like, dude, the insane asylum was the spot.
The spot, man.
Yeah.
Dope.
It was so cool.
I knew that shit like the back of my hand.
Yeah,
It was
like
a
dude, we were in the
cod map to
morgue.
me.
I remember pulling out the like the gurney of the morgue, the crematory, yeah. Like stuff like that. We got into all the buildings. That was stuff was
bowling
cool.
alley, movie theater.
Yeah, the bowl. Oh, for
Yeah.
sure. The rec center.
Yeah.
Yeah, they had like some crazy small rooms in the rec center too. I'm like, damn, people were living in some crazy conditions in this psychiatric
Wild.
center. Yeah, like no windows, just like 5x5 walls. You know what I mean? Crazy
I would be
stuff.
psycho too.
Yeah,
So.
exactly.
All right, so go ahead. Sorry, you get first. You take your acid April 21st. Now you're sober.
I'm like, yeah, you know what? It's 420. I'm not gonna stop on, whatever. Come on, one more time.
It's 420 National Weed Day. I'm taking acid.
I'm taking acid. 2 + 2 = 5.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly. So the next day I get sober for good.
Wait, did you have a spiritual awakening?
Did the acid?
No,
Do
it
anything?
was underwhelming because I didn't talk about my what drugs I used at school, but I was weed every single second of the day, coke Thursday to Saturday, and I was also taking acid probably like once
That's some schedule.
once a week, maybe once every 2 weeks. And I would take it while going out. Like I was just a psycho like that.
Okay, that's wild.
Yeah, it wasn't like I would sit there and just be like, sit on the couch and be like, let's go do some shit and just pop tabs. So my tolerance was crazy. So like that one day, they only had a tab, and for me, a tab wasn't doing anything. A tab was like, you're just touching the surface, So it was kind of actually like just really underwhelming because like my tolerance was so high. That's the crazy part about when you're doing all these drugs is like you just need more and more drugs. That's why people overdose. That's why crazy shit happens is because it just, you always need more. It's always like you want to get to that same level that you did the first time and you never get back there.
Yeah.
Never happens.
Never does.
Chasing the dragon.
So what sets that day in stone for you? Why is this time different? Why do you actually stop doing it?
I think I just really needed to stop. I knew I needed to stop like really badly. I was kicked out of my house. I lost that job at Table Talk. I had no money. My friends were like, dude, get it away from us. You can't keep living in our spaces, our homes. I'm like, and then I actually remember this one distinct moment. I was talking about this the other day where I was sitting on the couch and I was thinking about all these dreams and aspirations I had. And like I was saying before, I've always thought that I could do the most amazing things ever. I'm going to be an actor. I'm going to be a YouTuber. I'm going to be this. I'm going to be that. I never doubted myself, but it was all delusional because I was never putting any action towards it. So I remember sitting there thinking about those dreams, and then I actually had a realization. What am I doing? Do I really want to be that person? Do I think what I'm doing right now, sitting here with my friends while we're watching YouTube videos, and I was tripping out on acid at that moment coming down, thinking that just smoking weed every single second of the day was going to get me to my goals. I wasn't doing anything to achieve them. Even though I had dreams and I knew I wanted to do something amazing with my life.
Dreams without actions are just dreams.
Amen.
It's delusion.
Delusion. Yeah, exactly. So I had that realization. I'm like, I need to get sober so I can live the life of my dreams. The life that I'm actually literally dreaming about right now. I need to get sober for that because it clearly non-sober Luke doesn't give a shit, doesn't put one action in towards that.
So going to the mental asylum actually helped you?
Well, it was actually, that moment was probably a week before that, but
okay.
But it was still, even though it's like that moment still solidified that I wanted to get sober, even though I did it again. I went right back to it. 420, I did it, but the next day I was like, all right, I'm sober. That's it. Was sober for about a week, reached out to somebody. This is the key part of my sobriety. Reached out to somebody who was in AA. And I said, listen, as you definitely know, I have a problem. And so that person, somebody who's really close to me in my life in high school, big part of my sports career, a coach, they took me under their wing. And, ever since then, 4/21/18, I've been sober since. I went through the steps of AA. There's 12 steps in AA if you don't know. And you really got to look on the interior part of yourself and just you actually start to dive deep and think about all the things you did, the consequences of your actions, and how they're not just affecting yourself but other people.
Making
and
amends.
Make amends, and you got to go to those people and tell them, you know, that thing that I did this time, it was really terrible. I shouldn't have done it. Like, doing really uncomfortable things. And that's what's great about AA. That's why I think AA, everybody should go through those 12 steps one time.
Absolutely.
Because you're actually challenging yourself.
Big time.
So who am I? What do I stand by? And how do I make things right in my life? It's like, when do we really do that? Because, you know, we can have some sort of awareness, but to actually take action and go out of your way to apologize to people that you did bad things to in the past, you know, like that
shit will clean your soul.
Yeah. So I did that work.
How long did it take you to accomplish your 12 steps?
6 months, 9 months. I don't think it needs to take that long either. Like some people it takes
years.
Years. Some people, I've been on step 4 for a year. You know, it's like, I don't believe it needs to take that long. I think you could go pretty fast. And I know a lot of people that believe that you could go through the steps in a month or technically 4 days. There's this book that I read that you do this 3 steps in a day.
That's a lot of work.
4 days. Yeah, it's a lot of work, but they used to run you through the program quick back in the day when they started. So the whole, like, you need to take a year, I don't think that's necessarily the case, but you got to do the work.
So this guy you reached out to became your sponsor, still is your sponsor.
Still my sponsor, still very close to this day.
And this was in between your break from Princeton.
Yep, this is about beginning of May.
Okay.
I got kicked out my sophomore year, so I call it my first sophomore year when I was out of school.
My first sophomore
year. I had 2 sophomore years, so I always say my first sophomore year, my second sophomore year. That's how I reference it.
First year was an audible.
Yeah, first year audible, time off. And it's funny because Princeton, I'd say 20 to 25% of people take a year off at Princeton.
Really?
Yeah, it's so demanding. Like so many people take a mental health
That's
break.
interesting.
Yeah, like I'd say out of the 30 guys I started with on my team, 10 or 11 took a year off from my class of 2020.
Wow.
To go to 2021.
And obviously they take a year off from football during that, and then they go back into the program?
They come back, they come back, they go back on the team. Most of them do. Some of them, like a couple, don't return.
And you're just welcome back on the team.
Yeah, usually, because most of the time it's like, it's just stress. It gets to you. I mean, football is a plus 40-hour commitment during the season.
Yeah.
And then you're at the #1 school in the world, studying with kids that all they do is study.
Yeah.
And luckily, I didn't care about school. So I never had the stress of like, oh my gosh, I'm gonna fail this class. I mean, it was actually kind of good for my mental health.
Yeah.
Because I know so many kids that stress themselves out.
Yeah, take a lot of pressure off yourself.
Yeah, because you're competing against the best of the best. So that means you're not getting an A just off of like a good paper. You have to write an amazing paper because the A's that you're going against, those people are
the best.
I've been in class with people that won Nobel Peace Prizes, like stuff like that. You know what I mean? It's
That's
just
wild.
Like,
that's wild.
It's crazy type of stuff, you know? So, but I also felt so disconnected from that I was like, I don't care at all. So it was almost like a good thing, but it's a tough thing because stress, a certain amount of stress is good. I think if you don't have stress, like I always talk about it in business. If you're not stressed, you're not making money, right? So it's like,
or it's just a direct correlation to if you're not stressed, you don't care.
Right. And it's like that can be, if you can motivate yourself without stress, good for you. But I think I always I need a little bit of stress, whether that's external stress from somebody within my company bringing it down on me, or it's internal, that voice in your head that's like, you need to get up, make this content, go do this, go do that, to be that person. It's a cool
thing that the 12 steps fill that for you. Because when you're just drinking and drugging, the stress comes in the form of, oh my God, I got to deal with it. I just woke up and what the fuck did I do last night? And oh my God, I got arrested again. And it's like when you go into the 12-step program, it's like you have this new stress that kind of fills that void that you'd be missing otherwise.
Exactly.
And it's like, it's weird. I think we do need that. And it's funny that also you have to, the 12-step program is something everyone should do.
Yeah.
But for some reason, it's only for alcoholics.
Right.
It's like, why is that? Why do you have to go through shitty things to realize that you should be doing good stuff? It's such a weird thing that keeps popping up. It's like, why did I not appreciate my life so much until I drove my motorcycle into a rock wall at 50 miles an hour? Why did it take me that to figure out, holy shit, I'm really in this bitch and I got to be doing big things or I'm wasting my life? Mm-hmm. Why do we all? What is the human
because we live
fallacy?
as extremists. You're an extremist. You're breaking state records. You're fucking partying harder than anyone else and still playing football. The people we interview, like people are changing their lives, doing all these crazy things, crazy stories, and then one thing happens and they change. It's because we're extremists. We're addicted to things, and you don't look outside of anything that's going on. It's just like whatever you're doing. Until it's pulled out from underneath you. And then you can actually open your eyes and look around and go, wow, I was doing all of that. Bro, the perfect example is a night of your life in Princeton. You start out smoking weed, then all of a sudden you're blacking out, and then by the morning you're waking up like, what the fuck did I just do?
Yep.
That's just a longer scale. It takes from you to do that for 2 years, and then you realize one day, like, okay, what am I doing? Like, what is even going on?
Yeah.
You know? But I think that's just normal human behavior. We're just like that. Yeah. We're just addicted
they
to
say
the
that
things
like,
we like.
It always takes, almost always, it takes a moment for someone to realize that they need change. And it's like, you talk about a bottom. It's like,
seems like it's always a bottom.
I think almost everybody needs I just like bottom, AA, alcoholic, like the stigma around them, but just like that moment, like.
You tell me anyone who's done anything good in their life that didn't have that though.
Right. But it's like how deep.
What's wrong with you? Are you sick?
I had it.
What?
Maybe not, I didn't lose a leg.
It doesn't take a
drug addict.
What was
his
yours?
bottom was higher. You know what I mean? It might not even have been one distinct moment. It might have been like moments
You
put
ever heard
together.
the story about?
He ain't a bottom. He's
You
a
ever
top.
heard the story about the salesman and the dog? The salesman and the dog. Mark Sony just talked about it the other day, where he's like,
of course.
I show up to a guy's house, and his dog is sitting there. And his dog, as he comes up, he's like, "Hey Tim, how you doing? What's up, Tim? Blah blah blah." And they're like, "Hey, what's up, dog?" He starts petting the dog, and he's like, "Why is he whining?" He's
Dog's
like, "Oh,
whimpering the
he's
whole
sitting
time.
he's sitting on a nail. There's a nail stuck in his ass." And he's like, "Well, can I help him? Can I get him off the nail?" And the guy's like, "Well, no. He'll move when it's enough pain for him to move. But he's been sitting like that crying, and until it's enough pain, he's not going to move." So everyone's got a different low. For some people, being 20 pounds overweight, they're going to the gym because they've never been 20 pounds
true.
overweight. For some people, it's 250 pounds overweight.
Yep.
So for me, listen, I got stories. When I was in 6th grade, I got arrested for selling drugs in school. I got arrested for pulling a knife out on somebody in 6th grade. I'm 11 years old.
Wow.
And
So I
in
didn't
high
start
school-
early enough. That's my problem.
Yeah.
I should have
You were
got a
in high school, I
motorcycle.
was doing stupid
You're just getting
things.
drunk on the couch and doing ecstasy at 11. Well,
Dumbass.
you weren't pulling knives.
What an idiot.
Making money. Dummy. Get with
All right,
it.
so let's get back on track here because I got a lot of questions for sobriety. But
Yeah.
so you go back to Princeton and you have a successful career in football in college.
Kinda. So
Well, you keep your sobriety.
keep my sobriety.
That's a success in my mind.
Yeah. Oh, for sure. I think that's been the greatest thing in my life. People always ask me, if you could go back, would you change what happened in that moment? Would you not get arrested? And just like everybody says, I would get arrested every single time. You know, I would. The life that I live right now, the
Because
things
he
that I'm
got you
able
by
to
the
do,
belt.
Thank God he got me by the belt. You know, seriously.
For real.
If I got away, I mean, they would have found me. Like, I was so distinct looking. I was like 100. I was so coked out.
He's 6'5"
Skinny,
and a half.
6'5", pencil, running around, freaking hair down to his shoulders. You know, like they were gonna find me.
Yeah.
But
That's
yeah,
the most surprising part I've heard of this story so far.
down
You had
his
hair down your shoulders?
Bro, you used to have the flow. You
Dude.
look like a lax boy for
He
a
ran
while.
so
Big
fast
time.
it fell off.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, the genes catch up with you quick. As you know, my bald uncle, my bald dad.
Yep.
Now you know, dad.
My dad's bald too, so
Yeah.
I don't got long.
You're good
bro.
for now. You're
I'm
good.
good for
You're
now,
good.
but we'll see.
I'm
You're
good
both
till
good.
I'm
Yeah,
good
come
till
in.
I'm
death,
24,
bro.
so-
Yeah, you're chilling.
Yeah, you
I'm
got
good
the
till
good
dad.
genes.
My hair's gonna keep growing when I'm dead.
Hair's overrated, dude. Shave that. Come on, why
I
don't
don't
we
need, I'll fucking do it. I don't
segment
give a
right now?
shit. Shave my
segment
head
right now. Everybody shaves their heads.
I'm not doing that.
We
can't
cut
do
his
that.
hair one time on the pod, but
We
I don't know
did.
about shaving
We
it.
did
get
cut
I know.
my
I saw
fade
the
edge up.
3. I use that thing.
Self cuts.
Do you?
Yeah, that thing is awesome.
Let me
Wait,
check
you
the fade.
use self cuts?
Yeah, I bought it off Amazon.
That's so fire.
How long ago?
Before you guys started
Yeah.
using that.
No
It's
shit.
amazing. For my
Yeah.
bald head, I got when I don't use those mirrors and I try to shave my head, I'm going over like 8 times because I'm like, did I get it? I use that thing. You think before you have that, you think that you have to go over it 5 times.
Just do it once.
Once you get the section, it's gone. So I just go whoop, whoop, whoop.
Nice with it now.
If they want to, give me a little
The
discount
name
code
of this
to shout
podcast is
out.
going to be How to Shave Your Head.
Dude, it's awesome.
All right, well, let's talk. I want to talk more
sure.
about what you're doing now because it's very powerful. I really believe in what you're doing. You are spreading the message of positivity through sobriety, man.
Yes, sir.
And like that's not a popular thing nowadays. People think I feel like people look at sobriety and they're like, "Oh, that's boring. That sucks." And it's like, look at everyone who I know who's like sober and follows it to a T. They're very mentally healthy, and usually they got shit going for them.
Yeah, they're kind of killing it.
I wish I had the discipline. It's like I have this weird thing where drugs and alcohol never got me into trouble.
Yeah.
Like I walked out of it unscathed, and it's like. I almost wish like I did have a problem because I think if I was sober, I'd be a whole different type of animal. And like, kind of probably sounds stupid because it's like, why don't I just do it then? Just do it.
Well, let's not, forever. How about a month? You done a dry month yet?
I have. Oh, and I excel. Yeah. My life becomes better immediately. And then I'm like, I like don't remember how shitty alcohol is, and then everyone's like, "Let's go drink it," and I get fucking blacked out.
Yeah.
And I just feel like shit for a week.
He's also 31. He has 1 sip of alcohol, and he's got to sleep for 2 days because
it's so bad. The hangovers are terrible.
Dude, I was 19 when I quit, so we'd be getting hammered after a game on Saturday nights. Waking up, we'd have Sunday morning lift. They'd make us lift after our games
because you're 19,
and I would just
you could bounce
wake
back
up,
from
you
anything.
sleep 2 hours, wake up lifting hammered.
It's crazy.
And you had practice. We had Sundays were the worst days. You had football for like 10 hours.
I'm
straight.
about to challenge myself and fucking just do the 12 steps. I'm about to just do the 12 step.
I'll go through with you. I'll do it with you.
Bro, I think I should do that just to do it.
You want to
handshake deal if you're gonna say.
Why don't we make a segment, the 12-step segment?
Let's do it. Let's do that.
Okay.
It's not for alcohol because people are like Alcoholics Anonymous, but no, we're just
12
we're
steps.
using the AA 12 steps. We're gonna go through it, and we'll work them together because I'll go through it again.
You're gonna be my sponsor.
Yeah.
Wow.
All right.
Shit just happened right now in this podcast.
I gotta do this.
I don't even think it needs to be like you don't have to drink, right? It's just like you want to do the steps.
I just want to do it.
Even though it kind of involves you.
I should be sober to do it.
All right.
You're not gonna drink at all? I'm fucking
do
pissed,
we have anything
bro.
coming up?
Well, we can run through it quick too. We don't have to do the steps in like a year.
Well,
we can
here's
do
what
it in a month.
I gotta complete my 12 steps
There
of
you go,
sobriety so I
before
can
you
drink.
There you go. There you go.
This dude's gonna be calling me every single like, yo, when are we working on 4th step? When are we working on the 4th step?
let's
I
do
got
this.
a party to go to on
I
Saturday. I got a
like
wedding in 2 weeks.
I like this. Fuck.
No, that's exciting.
Listen, you don't really drink ever. Not.
I just do it on the
as you used to,
weekends.
yeah.
Lately, I've been taking 2-week breaks
But
because
it's also
the hangovers are so
we
bad.
go out to dinner and we have 2 drinks. It's not like we're going out to the clubs on the weekend.
No, but
It's
usually
not
when
like
I
that.
drink, you know me. If I
Yeah,
have
I
one,
guess
it
you're
turns
you're
into
a little
like
different.
6 pretty quickly.
You're a little different.
Yeah.
That's
Well,
how-
I figured out my drinking is I don't enjoy being drunk. I enjoy when my blood alcohol content is climbing only. So if I have 3 beers and then I wait and it starts coming down, no, I need it to be going up. And obviously that's a very slippery slope and doesn't last that long.
Well, they say that once you start drinking and then you stop, your body, I can't remember the name of the hormone that it releases, but it releases
something alcoholics have
that gives you
genetically
a crappy feeling.
Yeah.
So I bet you like the alcoholic person gets more of that when they stop
Oh,
drinking.
absolutely.
Right? You know what I mean? So I think naturally everybody kind of gets that when you drink. Like if you have a couple beers and you stop, it's just like, it's not like you're not like, oh great, I have a nice buzz. Like I feel like most people aren't like that. They're like, all right.
I drink,
that's
I need
kinda
to continue.
Yeah.
Like I need to drink it more.
I'm not that way, honestly.
No, you're not. You're good.
Yeah.
I drink a couple beers
There's
and
a
I'm
couple
great.
Cosmos
Yeah.
and he feels great.
You've never
So tell
seen
us
me have
about.
a Cosmo.
I know. I just wanted
Yeah,
to
to
make
me,
fun
I'm
of
like,
it.
dude, what's the point of having a
Disrespect
couple?
Tell me about some of the work you've been doing
Yeah.
as a sober person. You know, you're on YouTube. You're doing TikTok. No,
Yeah.
TikTok.
Yeah, I just
You're
started
doing Instagram.
hammering the TikTok.
And you're just trying to spread the message of
What's your mission of
sobriety
doing
and
it?
how it's helped you.
So my mission is I want to help people create change in their lives. So yeah, I'm a little more specific towards sobriety, but in general, I want to work with high schoolers, college students, young professionals, and I want to help them make the changes in their lives that they want to make to help them do amazing things. That's really my main goal. So like I've been putting out sobriety specific content, but we have a speech, my cousin and I, we started this initiative, TouchStreets. Our tagline is change yourself to change the world. So we believe like if you just change a little bit of something about yourself, that's going to be able to have the greatest impact.
Butterfly effect, dude. It's
exactly.
real.
Instead of, because I always see people pointing the finger like, we got to stop polluting. We have to stop doing that. Like they need to stop this. Like work on your sphere of influence. What can I control?
Right.
And you can only control yourself. So what can I do to better myself? And then innately, the world will become a better place.
True.
So
That's
I think
huge.
If everybody starts embodying that, we'll actually see huge impact.
Right. Everybody thinks you need to be out doing this big thing.
Right.
It's like, no, just start where you're
Yeah,
at.
like when I talk to people, I'm like, you don't need to, get sober or like change your life to then, make it your mission to help other people doing it. Like that's just what I happen to like to do. That's just I think I'm all in type of person. So like once I was like all in sober, I'm like all about it, and I'm just like I might as well embody it to the core. Mm-hmm. I'm not gonna be the sober guy that's like in the corner, just like, yeah, I don't drink. Like I tell it like, yeah, I don't drink. Like actually this crazy stuff happened in my life where, I was partying like an animal, and I just knew it was either ruin all my opportunities or get sober. And I had to choose getting sober. And now it's been the best decision I ever made. And like almost make a story out of it. And people are like, oh, that's cool. Like you're the only cool sober person I know. A lot of people say that because most people don't really know any sober people my age, like
I know a lot of really cool sober
I do
people.
too. But like, people get the wrong idea, especially because when people get sober my age, it's usually like pretty extreme shit.
Yeah.
And so a lot of people actually, I feel like can't really be around it that much, where for some reason, like I can be like, there could be like a line of Coke like this, and I would just be like, I could play with it like it was sand, like, draw something out of it and have no, not the slightest urge.
That's incredible.
Not even close. So it's like something totally shifted in my head, like a light switch just went off. It was like, this is it. Like, I think it's because I just associated so much pain towards it. It's like if I pick up a drink, if I pick up a drug, all the stuff I've been working on and building, like my career, the stuff that I'm working on the side, like people are like, oh, you're putting out this amazing sobriety content. Like I have a vision to have like the biggest business, self-help, motivation, mindset business in the entire world. You know what I mean? Like,
baby.
It's not
That's
just
the dream?
Oh yeah, 100%. I'll definitely get into that in a little bit of like what our outlook is on our business plan. But people are like, oh, that's sobriety content. Like that's so nice of you. And it's like, no, like this is going to be my bread and butter.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like I like my job. Like my job's, I'm an underwriter for a commercial insurance company. So we take on contractors in the 5 boroughs. We insure them. So I'm constantly looking at, like concrete guys, drywall, masonry, whatever. All these big guys are building the skyscrapers, steel, and I got to evaluate them as risks. How much premium should we charge? Should we even take them on? Do they fit our risk appetite? Whatever. It's not that exciting. I don't wake up every day like, let's go, baby. Gonna go evaluate some risk. Like, I work with some pretty cool people, which is nice. So like I'm good at my job. I definitely have respect within my company. So, that's fine. But, I'm going to be doing this stuff full time. I'm going to be doing this stuff full time. I'm sorry. I don't like to say I think.
Yeah.
I'm going to be doing this full time before 12/31/23. I'm going to quit my job.
Oh, let's
Nice.
go.
Yeah.
Speak it
Good for
into
you.
reality,
So
bro. I love that.
I think by the beginning of the school year coming up, we're going to be able to quit our jobs.
launch
I want to
it.
go back for a second. And
I'm sorry. I jumped all over the place too because like you asked a question. I'm like,
It's all good.
we let it flow because you're saying good shit, so don't worry
All right,
about it, bro.
I'm trying,
You're saying
I'm
good shit.
Appreciate it.
So there's this huge phrase that Alex Hormozy said. You listen to Alex Hormozy at all?
Do I listen? I listen to him every morning.
Yeah.
Almost. I
So-
pop his podcast on. I ride my electric scooter to my office. He usually got like 15 to 20 minute podcast. So
Yep.
it's I know all like every time it's like always a repeat, but it's almost like if you're
Gold,
religious,
bro.
like reading the Bible every day. It's like I've read about Jesus every day, but it's like you're just ingraining that mindset.
He's
those habits
golden.
in yourself.
Golden.
Yeah.
So
I hear like when you a lot of the stuff you say, I'm like that's Hormozy-esque.
Oh, bro, I listen to all those guys, and I'm an extremist too. Like everywhere I go in the car, it's a podcast of
Yep.
somebody playing, and I'm re-listening to the same people, and I'm reading the same books. Like if I listen to like 3 people,
Yep.
but I consume everything they say. So I just embody all their traits just naturally. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Like, and I say their quotes and I feel wrong. I'm like, yeah, Alex Hormozy said that. I got to give him props. But I'm just like, I don't even realize that. You know what I mean? So anyway.
But he heard it from somebody else, and he even says that himself too.
Correct.
You know what I mean? So nobody's an originator.
The thing I was going to say was outwork yourself. What was the beginning part? Like, getting confidence and getting to the level you want to do, getting to the level you want to be is not shouting affirmations in the mirror and saying shouting affirmations in the mirror and saying
undeniable proof that you are who you say you are,
and stacking it and just outworking yourself down.
Yeah.
And like that's exactly what you did. You're just like, fuck it, just keep doing X, Y, and Z, and all the rest of it just works itself out. You know,
100%.
you're just outworking all the negative and the bad, and then miraculously you look up and it's like, I have this one day. You know,
exactly.
It's by design.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So let's talk about the business now. You were saying
love to go on that.
You want to be fully into personal development, you would call it?
Paint me the picture.
Yeah. So
what's it
my
called?
cousin and I,
you guys are running
my cousin
it?
and I, we started this company called TouchStreets.
Okay.
My cousin, his background, he went to Binghamton University, 4.0 MBA student, you know, very, very bright guy. He graduates college and he like kind of has an identity crisis. He's going through something with a girl there. He gets a job, you know, as a financial analyst, but it's remote and, you know, he doesn't, you know, he hates it. And all these things are happening at once and he starts having anxiety attacks. And all of a sudden they're so bad to the point where he needs to admit himself into a psychiatric center.
Oh my God.
So he admits himself and he's there. They keep him there for 10 days. And the whole time he's trying to just be good to get himself out because it was so terrible. The experience was awful. They gave him no help. These institutions are terrible, which we'll get into with the business plan. They're awful. And so it's funny because he's like, I needed to go there. Like, I'm glad I did it every single time I would have, but it was terrible. Like, there was no help. You saw a doctor one time. They don't help you do any of the things. They had an acronym of like 8 things that you should do. They're like, we did one thing on the list. That was it. So it's like, they did nothing for him. Yeah, so he started this initiative called No Man Sits Alone. And he was building Adirondack chairs and just posting about mental health stuff to raise money. And it was like, no man sits alone, like, you know, like in an Adirondack chair.
Yeah.
And it garnered a lot of attention. He was on like NBC News, CBS, a bunch of stuff. So he was speaking at schools. So that's when he was speaking at a bunch of schools. And I spoke at Ketchum with him. We did some stuff. And then we were like, all right, let's move to the city. So I knew I wanted to move to the city. My job is down there. I work right across from Grand Central Station. Like, my office is directly across the street. And so I knew I wanted to move down there. So I actually I bought a co-op. We'll get into this. So I stayed home for a year. I'm living at home, no expenses, making city money, and I'm just saving up. And I think I'm gonna go down and rent. All of a sudden, I actually got that condition, hyperparathyroidism. And so I'm like, I should probably pause whatever I'm doing, just because I didn't know what it was at the time. So I pause. And I don't end up renting with one of my friends, but then I start to look into this more, and I'm like, why don't I look into buying something? You know, I have some cash in the bank. You know, I make good money. Like, I have great credit. Like, let's see what I can do. So I ended up buying a co-op in East Village. So yeah, I'm a homeowner in New York City, actually. So
it's hard to achieve.
That's a fucking accomplishment.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy. Like, when I talk about it, people are like, yo, you own in New York City? Like, I didn't know that was a thing. I was like, I had no idea it was a thing either. You know, like, I just
Airbnb that bitch.
No, for real. Yeah, like one day, you know, like, it's a great starter spot. Like, you're going down to the city this weekend. If you want to come by, stop by. Yeah, it's, you know, it's the size of, it's like 600 square feet, so it's not big, and it's $500,000. You know, like,
come there and do my first.
600 square feet is, you know, it's like not as big as that room up there. You know what I mean?
It's
so
half of this room. It's a 1,200 square foot room.
Yeah.
So it's half of that room.
Yeah, it's half of this room, $500,000.
It's crazy.
Just nuts. But I had enough, you know, to put down 10%, and, you know, so I have that a mortgage, but so we ended up moving down together. And sorry, I'm bouncing all over the fucking place.
No, you're good.
Moved down together, and I was like, what do I want to do now? Because I was home and I graduated and I was doing my job, and I started studying for all these tests, and I got these designations that they say, they're like, oh, it should take you 2 to 3 years to finish it all. I did it in 7 months. Meanwhile, there's big financial incentives, $10,000 to finish the first test, $15,000 to finish the second, and other financial incentives were put into this. So for me, I'm already a go-getter. I'm like, this is a freaking no-brainer. I'm working, 9 to 5:30, basically 9 to 5, and I'm studying every night. And I finished it in 7 months, and like my CEO's dumbfounded. Definitely blessed it up. Won't get specific, but it's been good. And yeah, but I had to work towards that. And then like I had a busy season, like somebody left the company, and then it was like they just threw us in the flames. They're like, all right, like we hooked it up, go do your thing. And so then I was like super busy for 5 months. But once I moved to the city, it calmed down, and I was like, now like what am I gonna do? I always knew I wanted to put content out, I wanted to do stuff. I'm like, I love sobriety, I talk about it all the time, like that's what I want to do, is like speak out more about it. So started posting the content, and then I said to my cousin, like, why don't we come together and start something as one? So I came up with this, I had this idea of TouchStreets before, but I was like, yo, why don't we use this name TouchStreets, like reaching out, touching the people of the streets, to create a brand around our stories, which is substance abuse on my end, mental health on his end, the two biggest problems in high schools, for that generation in the entire world. There's no two bigger issues. We cover both those grounds. And then we could also, just help people elevate their lives. Yep. That's what we want to do. It's like, we don't think it needs to necessarily just be substance abuse or mental health related. So we're like, let's come up with a brand that can just help those high schoolers, college students, and young professionals be the best versions of themselves.
Reach potential.
Exactly. So we built out our website, we made everything official, took us about a month, and then we started doing reach outs. So we have our first paid speaking event on April 4th at Pace University.
Wow.
We're speaking at a career building class. So that'll be exciting.
Nice.
And then we're in talks with a bunch of other high schools, and we're finalizing some stuff. We have a thing.
And how long have you actually been doing that business?
Like 2 months probably.
And you already got a paid speaking engagement?
Yeah,
Incredible.
already. Yeah, it's just something that a lot of people are not trying to do, because I'm like, sometimes we feel like we're underqualified. We're like, like what, like,
what
we're
could
just,
make you
we're
more
24-year-olds.
qualified?
That makes us more qualified. What 24-year-olds, two, he's good looking dude. I'll say I'm halfway decent
You're
looking.
good looking.
Oh, well,
It
thank you.
comes
I was
with
kind of
being
fishing.
6'5" and a half.
I'm kind of fishing a little bit. But, our two good looking dudes, both happen to be 6'5",
And
are out there
and a quarter.
speaking about, substance abuse and mental health. Like teachers, administration, there'll be foaming at the mouth for us. Like we're the best possible candidates in the world. Like there's no two that are like us. That's our mindset about it. So
Love it.
we have no self-doubt in our ends. And we've done some speeches before, so it's not like we've done some free stuff. Like, I've been helping people and mentoring people, not looking for money for 5 years now. Like he's started an initiative, not looking for any money, doing speeches. Like we've done stuff already. So like
It's real though, man, because we were just talking about this the other day at lunch. The DARE program. Do you remember DARE program?
Yeah, I remember DARE.
Bro,
I was already drinking during DARE. I was like 7th grade. I was like,
you know why that shit doesn't work? Because you can't relate to a cop,
The person on the
who's
stage.
a goody two shoes who's never drank. It's like you don't know my world.
No.
So for you, you know the world.
It's
You've
gotta be
done it
relatable,
all. You are
exactly.
relatable. You're a 6'5" alpha dude who people are gonna listen to.
Mm-hmm.
So that avenue of what you just said is no one is as qualified as you is the truth.
Yep.
Because they look at you like, here's this 6'5" sick athlete who went to Princeton who's being vulnerable and telling us like, yo, I had a problem and here's how I fixed it and got shit done about it, Where if a cop tells you that, or someone who's just, like, don't drink. Yeah, okay. I'm not going to drink. Okay.
It's bad. People get arrested.
Mental health. Yeah, okay, sure.
Yeah.
You're
Mental
also
health.
just very in touch with the younger crowd. You know how social media works. You know how to reach out to people. And that's a huge edge that most people who would go into this line of work would never even consider, I don't think.
There really isn't much out. Like I've seen a couple sober influencers, and there's like a bunch of influencers who are sober, but like
they
the
don't
people that
preach it,
really
right?
are the preachers, there's not really anything cool out there. You know what I mean? So I'm just like, I feel like I'm a pretty cool dude. Like, why don't I just talk about my sobriety?
That's a major
You know what I
factor that I
mean?
think
Like,
is completely undervalued.
Yeah, why not talk about it? I think we'll talk about the only con that I really see is like, there's some shallow chicks out there. Like it's funny because like, and I get it too because you probably look at my Instagram, you don't know me, like, well, what is going on? But like ever since I started doing the talks, there's been a handful of times where I've like talked to a chick, like when I'm out at a bar, like I'll go up to girls in the streets. Like my friends are like, yo, you're crazy. But I'm all about getting out of my comfort zone. And just like, I'm always trying to like be that person, you know what I mean? That's like doing crazy stuff. So even though I'm not the crazy guy drinking, I want to be the crazy guy that's going up to chicks or is just doing, you know, I want to do stuff that people are scared to do, you know? And, you know, it's like, I'll talk to them, like seem all about it, whatever. And like, you know, the signs, like I've gone up to girls in the streets and they're like, I've had the moments where they're like, get away from me, you know? And you're just like, all right, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to like interrupt your day. Sorry. Somebody wanted to compliment you or just, you know, ask you how your life is. But, you know, whatever, talking. And then it's like, they ask my name and it's like clockwork. And I tell them my name and then they look you up on Instagram, I'm assuming. And just never, like that. So I'm like, all right, that's been the only annoying thing is I get ghosted.
Like you're saying it's harder to get women because they go and see who you are on Instagram. So
as of right now. So like, I think I'm in that weird spot where it's like, I'm just putting out content. It's like, you know, get 100 likes. Like it's fine. Like it's,
bro, you got too much shit going on right now for you to be concerned with a woman. I think that's God helping you out.
I 100% agree.
Don't even go talk. Don't go talk to these girls. You got a bigger mission.
Yeah, but I still like to do it because I'm like, it's just out of my comfort zone to like just go up to a chick randomly.
Yeah, so go have fun.
So, but it doesn't actually, like, it's not a concern of mine. You know, I'm not like, oh, I'm never going to have a girl. Like, I'm like, in this season of my life, speaking of Hormozy, talking about seasons, I'm like, in this season, you know, this is the season where I just grind, I build myself up. And it's like, I look at the dating world as like a startup. Take a startup. If you have like a good idea or something and all of a sudden you go out and you raise capital right off the bat and you have no proof of concept or nothing, it's like, all right, you're going to get something back, maybe, you know, but it's just going to be like lower tiered stuff. But all of a sudden, if you like are really building that startup up and you like go out and build the concept and you are doing these big things and then you go and raise capital, you know, your company's worth 100x. And it's like, so I feel like, you know, I just work on myself. My dating pool is going to be, you know,
whoever you want.
Right.
Listen.
You know, businesswomen, athletes, like people that are, I just want people that are, it goes back to that post the other day. Zac puts up a post where he talks about, very Hormozy-esque post too. So I love what you were saying. You're like, you know, when I have a relationship with somebody, it's transactional. And you can take that the wrong way.
Of course.
And I know what Zac meant. Yeah. It wasn't, hey, I meet somebody and it's, what can you do for me? Oh, you can't do shit right now? I'm not talking to you. No, I know Zac, he's gonna meet people and he's gonna give off a great energy because that's the person you are and you genuinely mean it. But when you're talking about really diving deep into a relationship with somebody else, like giving somebody your time, it's like, I want that person to be able to give me something in return because I know I'm going to bring value as well.
Of course.
I don't want to just hang out with somebody to go watch Netflix. I don't want to hang out with somebody just to go chill and eat food. Like I don't want that in a relationship. And somebody's like trying to sound off on us. I'm like, dude, I'm going off on this mother right now.
Listen, we'll touch on that for a second because the friends thing, bro, I have so many people that I'm friendly with. So everyone, like I don't have problems with anyone. I have no enemies.
Right.
But at the same time, if you look, what I consider a real friend, if I'm spending time with them every week, if I'm talking to you and we're spending time together every week, that's like a real friend. Like that
100%.
That really is, you're transacting something every week. Energy, time together, right? So those people that I'm transacting with every week, I don't have time to just transact with fucking laughs. Like we got to be giving each other something.
Right.
And I could be mentoring you. You could be mentoring me. There's plenty of people. I have a team full of 53 sales reps, and all 53 of those relationships are me mentoring them, giving away what I know. You know what I mean? And a lot of them, I'm not even really necessarily making money on, or I'm wasting my time because they quit early and whatever. So, the whole point of that is like, I'm not trying to make money off everyone I know, but I'm not going to waste my time making deep-rooted relationships with someone who's just a bum and doesn't want to make money doesn't want to do things.
Build themselves up. And it shouldn't sound like a selfish thing to do because when you are hanging out with someone and you're giving, and they're taking, that's draining.
Oh my God.
You cannot be around people like that.
No. So draining.
That would make them a parasite. The definition of a parasite is someone who takes without giving anything in return.
Dude, and we're busy people, all of us. I'm working 50, 60 hours a week. I want to be in the gym. I want to do this. I want to spend time doing this. So I don't have a lot of hours to just give out to do nothing with
Right.
people. Like, we got missions, we got goals, things I'm trying to accomplish. So I work by a philosophy of like, there's nothing you'll ever do in your life that's neutral. You're either hurting or helping your cause, or you're hurting or helping a relationship, or you're hurting or helping a sale, or you're hurting or helping your body. There's nothing like, you don't just drink water and it does nothing for you. You drink water because it's good. You go to the gym because it's good. If you are not working, it's bad for you, which is okay. I'm not saying you can't have time off. You can't be on vacations, but like, there's no such thing as you're just neutrally, it's not a good or a positive or a negative. You know what I mean? And I think that goes for everything in life. So sorry, that was a little bit off.
Let's get back on track. So we know your story now.
Thanks for getting us back on track, by the way, all the time, dude. We would be screwed. I don't know where I would be. I'd be talking about
I have an appointment
Thursday
at
morning
9 a.m.
breakfast.
tomorrow, and I'm concerned we're not going to make it if I don't keep us on track.
There we go.
So we
You're
know
not going to be able to get
story.
sober.
Yo,
Or do you have that next drink?
I'm already thinking
You're not
about
going to be able to have
this.
that next drink
I'm already
unless you
thinking
finish
about
these
this.
12 steps. So
I want to do step 1 through 3 in
Luke,
your
we better get
fucking
this-
condo. I don't even know what they are yet. I think I know the first one.
I would love to have you guys down in the city.
We might have to do that.
My cousin built out a loft in my bedroom. So like I have a bunk over my bed, like official, like not just like some crappy little, like that thing is in the wall, like across the thing. Nobody lives up there. Like I got a couch that like reclines, got a couple recliners.
Got a nice bed?
I got a
stay there?
Tempur-Pedic bed. It goes up, the legs go up, and then it massages.
Listen, don't tell me unless you're serious.
Oh,
don't
shit.
tell me unless you're serious because I'm
That
up
brings
there.
me to my
No,
next
I'm
point.
serious.
I'm going to get
I would
us
love to
back
have you
on
guys.
track for the last fucking time. We're talking
Anyway,
about
your couch.
Tempur-Pedic.
How's your couch?
No, but we heard about
It reclines. In the head, on the back of the head moves up and down. That's it. I'm serious. Anyway, it's a nice
story.
couch, very nice couch. It's actually the finest couch you could ever use.
we didn't get it from China. It's made in America. Thank you. It's the best couch. Great couch. All right. So we know your story. We know your mission. Now I have one last. Actually, it's not going to be my last question. I'm going to have another question after. But
Yeah.
my one question
I don't think I
do
made it
have for
through
you
my business though.
is, we're not.
No.
Where are
You're
we
going to
at?
talk about what is this? Your
I need to like.
mission?
I'm gonna
No,
go through.
not yet.
Let me
Don't
go
ask
through
that
the business
yet.
real
Don't
quick
ask that.
Let's
without.
talk more about the business
Okay,
side.
because I do want to get through that, and I have a big pitch tomorrow.
Let me give you the question for
Yeah,
it. Your
I love
business
that.
right now, you've been doing it for a month and a half, 2 months, sorry.
Yep.
You have the speaking gigs kind of set up. You said
Yep.
by the end of this year, you want to be full-time business.
Full-time.
No more with the insurance company. What's the plan? What's the structure? What's the action? What are you doing
Yep.
day to day?
So right now, we're reaching out to people that we know. We're doing some, not cold calls, but leads. It's just reaching out to different administration from schools. But we've seen that most of the connections that we're making off the bat are from people that have some sort of knowledge of who we are, what we've done, because at first our target was just prep schools in New York City, like up, Westchester, all the wealthy areas, just targeting those schools because we're going to be doing coaching as well, life coaching. So we're getting certified life coaching. It's like 100 hours of coaching you need to get done, a bunch of classwork time, all this stuff. So it takes a bunch of studying. It's actually like a legit accreditation. So we're doing that. We want to do life coaching. So at first, our first model was, okay, we're just going to speak, and then that's going to be the funnel for us getting life coaching clients. Then we were like, you know what, instead of, we have these couple places that we know we can speak at, get paid speaking events, and they know who we are. Why don't we create programs within those schools? Instead of just being one-off people like what most people are doing, let's be the guys that are going to the school once a week. So right now, our model, which is going to be our pitch to Ketchum High School tomorrow, which we've done a speech there already. They want us to come back and speak, and we told them that we might want to do some program stuff. But they don't know exactly what we're about to hit them with. So we're looking to do once a week, we're in your school, and we basically, during the free period, during the lunch hours, we want to be able to have a class that people can drop in on, or maybe it's a requirement for them to take, whatever that is. And we're basically, the first 20 minutes is mindset learning. So we basically go over a podcast, it'd be like Hormozy, Lewis Howes, those type of guys, going over a podcast, YouTube clip, something with mindset, talking about how that's applicable, how they can apply it in their lives, get them to talk about it. And then the last 20 minutes is all going to be goal building. So when we do our speeches, we have this little thing called WWHW, it's what, why, how, when. And so it's 4 words, little acronym, WWHW, that if you answer those questions can lead you to creating change in your life. So what do I need to change, right? That's the awareness. We're talking about in my story. It's like, there were moments when I knew I had a problem, right? So I had the first step down for a bit, you know, like I got arrested a couple times, like, all right, probably knew it wasn't a great idea. So that is the beginning. But then the second is the why. It's like, that's, once the why kicks in, it's like, I didn't really have the why right away. You know, there wasn't really something that was so strong that would get me to stay away from a drink no matter what. And it's like, I finally had my why, which is just, I wanted to become the person that I dreamed about being. And I finally realized that that wasn't going to happen just with keeping drugs and alcohol in my life and just the trajectory I was on. So that was my why. I knew that if I wanted to be the person of my dreams, you know, be successful, do things for people that I love, all these aspirations that I had, I needed to get sober. So it was that strong. How? I tried to do it on my own, right? I saw like, all right, let me willpower. It didn't work. I finally reached out for help. Like that was the first step. And that's what we're teaching these kids is like, all right, you have the macro, the end goal, the ultimate vision, but break it down into the first initial step. What can you do right now, today? And that's
smart.
The when.
Creating actionable steps.
Yep, that's the when, is start now. Let's start today or start as soon as possible, because why can't you work on, oh, you know, I ate unhealthy today. Like, why should I start now? It's like, okay, you ate unhealthy, but it doesn't mean your next meal has to be unhealthy. Or like, you know, you can't work out to, let's say for some reason you literally can't work out today. Well, you can go on Safari and look up a workout for tomorrow. You can learn about working out. Yeah. So we want to give these kids a formula, which we're going to be doing through a skit in the beginning. Then we tell our lives from our low points. We started our low point. I was on the streets of Princeton and a cop grabbed my belt, start from our low point. Then we give the example of what, why, how, when, and how those distinct moments create change in our lives. And then we're going to give them a couple examples of how real life WWHW, like, the extreme examples are our stories, the mental health and the substance abuse side. But then there's also just people that want to create positive habits in their life. Like something that I want to do on a personal level is become less reactive, because I'm definitely a hothead. I'll be working on my computer or, something's not going my way. And I'm like, like getting all pissed at something. But it's like, what is me reacting that way?
How does it serve you?
It's not serving me at all. People say, oh, it's therapeutic to do that. Like, I guess I feel like that's more so an excuse.
Spike like, your cortisol levels?
Yes, exactly. Exactly. So for me, it's like, I know I can, if I'm cool, calm, and collected, my head's gonna be clear. I can think a lot quicker in that moment and make the right move way faster than if I'm actually getting upset. So that's something I wanna work on, right? What? My reactivity. Why? Because I know it's affecting me in the workplace. I know there's been moments in relationships where I've gotten heated and said things that I didn't want to say, that I know if I just sat there for a second, I wouldn't have said them. Stuff like that. So I feel like I have pretty good motivation behind it. So it's a good why. How? Now, instead of being like, all right, I'm going to live like a monk for the next, like every single day, nothing is going to, Anthony just said I'm a piece of shit. I don't care. Like, no, instead of trying to apply it in every single area, I'm going to start with one thing. What is one thing that really ticks me off? Well, okay, why not driving in the car?
Getting mad in traffic.
Getting mad in traffic. I'll start with, when I get in the car, I'm going to sit there. I'm going to say, okay, you know what? I'm going to focus on being less reactive while I drive today. I'm not going to focus on having no reaction, because sometimes, shit happens.
Yeah.
But I'm going to start small with just when I'm in the car, right? And that's a good way for me to start with this. And then when am I going to do it? Next month, next month is National Anger Issues Month, I'm going to start today.
Right now.
You know what I mean? So we're going to give some real life applicable examples, skit form, talking about it like that. And then we say, okay, everybody, pull out your phones and we're going to lead you to this document. Before that, follow your boy on the gram, at Luke Timm, at TouchStreets. And then there's going to be a link that leads you to a Google Doc. And right now, we're going to walk you through that what, why, how, when, every single kid that is in the crowd listening. They're going to go through the steps. They're going to send that form through. And then we have it coded so that when they send it through, it takes our logo, puts it at the top, and then it has what, why, how, when on the sides, and it puts it in nice formatting sends it back to them in a PDF, and they can take that with them forever. So whether they use that moment, and that's that, like we said, that kind of that bottom, or just that experience that leads them to that change, maybe that speech is that awakening, and they have something physical to take away with them. But also maybe that isn't their moment, right? You know, I've listened to motivational speeches. It didn't work for me right away. But they will always have that little PDF, and they might go back to it like, why can't I think there's a lot of people that were in my shoes. Why can't I achieve the things that I want to achieve? Like, I know I want to be a person that does special things and like has all these great experiences, but I'm just not getting to them. Why is that? It's like, okay, well, I'm not doing anything differently. Let me take this formula that these guys gave me and try to utilize that. So that's gonna be part of our speeches. And so that's kind of the basis of the program. You know, there's gonna be a class once a week, or the class are gonna run all day, but once a week we'll be in the school. Motivation, mindset stuff in the beginning. We all talk about it, discuss.
That's powerful, dude.
Last 20 minutes, we're gonna go through the what, why, how, when. The first day is gonna just get in and think about what, because some kids don't even think about, they never think about change, right? It's like, why do I need to change?
That's so powerful, man. You're going to teach kids how to affect change in their own life. Like, nobody teaches you that in high school. Yeah. They just tell you what you should and shouldn't do.
Right.
They don't tell you hey, maybe ask yourself why you should do it.
Why?
That's
huge,
bro. That's the whole. If we would ask why to everything we do in our lives, we will be amazed at the answers we get. If you ask yourself why do I do this? Okay, let's go through an example. Something. Why do I go to work? Why do I work here? Let's say you work at, where do you work right now? Insurance. Why do I work at insurance? Give me an answer.
Make good money.
Because you make money. Why do you want to make good money?
Because I like living in the city and I like to do cool things.
Why do you like to do cool things?
It's fun, doing stuff that other people can't really do, and just having experiences, tell stories.
Why do you want to have experiences and tell stories? What does that do for you?
It's just when I'm in an environment, people are interested in me.
Why do you want people to be interested in you?
People are interested in me. It makes me feel important.
You can go on this for hours, bro. You can go on this for hours.
100%.
But there's like supposed to be something special
to a breakthrough point.
I know.
Yeah.
There's supposed to be something special about
why would you want to feel important?
Right. Well, then you really get to the question.
Listen,
why do you want to feel important?
Right.
I was gonna say there's something special about 7 whys. That's like a thing. I don't know who it's from, but you have to ask why 7 times. And that was his 7th why. Was the next question. Why do you want to feel important?
Yeah.
And why do you want to feel important? Because that's a rabbit hole right there.
We kind of talked about that in the beginning, right? I think it's a little bit of ego. Everybody wants to feel special and important, but I don't want to be important.
It's fulfilling.
I think it's fulfilling. You get respect. People like you, and you just like being around.
The good kind of ego, bro. Yeah. The good kind of ego,
exactly.
Like where we want to change people's lives and change the world, bro. 100%. That's why so we were talking about it a little bit before, but like the stress and the external forces to make you motivated, I needed that for so long. And I still do sometimes. Like to get in really good shape, I had to tell myself, I'm going to run a fucking marathon. Yeah. Because if I didn't say I'm going to run a marathon, I wouldn't run every day.
Right.
So some things I still need like external big things. But then now my day-to-day in work, I've gotten to the point where now I'm pulled to it. Like I want to change people's lives, and I have this mission of helping as many people as I can and helping to get people to escape the rat race and change their lives.
Yep.
Financially, the whole respect around work. I want to change people's dynamic with work and the 100%. Way they are with money. And so now I don't need the external forces. I don't need the stress and the privilege.
Definitely.
But in the beginning, bro, it's so important to have that. I totally went back on the old tangent. I forgot where I was going at this point. But
I think I like what you're talking about, the external stuff. I think just what's kept my sobriety so strong is like, I talk about AA. I probably only go to AA once a month, and I don't say that proudly. Like, I don't really go to AA that much. Like, I think I do enough. Like, not enough. I don't like that word. I think I do a lot of stuff within the sobriety community that it's like the 12th, you're just giving back, 12th step, you're just serving it back to others. That I just practice it in my life that, it's not like I don't need AA, but I practice AA on a daily basis, the principles of it.
Right.
But I think the external things, like the things that I've built up about myself are what keep me sober. Cause it's like, I know I can tear those down so quickly. Like if I didn't make progress, I'd be like, what is the point? You know, and then if I don't have more progress to shoot for, like, what is the point?
Yeah.
You know, because I just see people like, a lot of people that like drink and work, like that's fine. Like,
It's complacent.
you know, drink and party, like, yeah, you can, you know, make some money and whatever. But, you know, at the end of the day, it's like you just end up like anybody else that does that. There's nothing really cool about that to me, where it's like, all right, like you go all in.
It's the trap,
You do
bro.
some
It's the
amazing
trap.
things, you know?
Just go
It's not
work.
just all about making money, because I know a lot of people that make a lot of money. It's like, all right, that's fine, but like your life doesn't seem that great to me. I mean, like you can do cool stuff like travel all the time, and like that stuff is awesome. But you know, at the same time, it is kind of sad because it's just like that's all it revolves around.
Wealth is to be whole. Wealth is to have, you know, you could have money, but if you have a shitty body and you have bad relationships, you're not really wealthy.
100%.
Wealth, you got to have money. You have to be spiritually well-grounded. You have to be physically fit. You have to have good relationship with your kid, with your wife, with your friends. You know, that's what it means to be wealthy. And that's what I'm solving for. I'm not solving to, you look at a lot of billionaires. Well, let's not go to billionaires. It's a different level. You look at a lot of millionaires, multimillionaires, a lot of them have fucked up lives. Like, and that's the whole stigma why money doesn't matter and why, oh, I wouldn't want to be that guy. And you know how much he had to sit in an office for 80 hours a week? That's because the stigma around millionaires and people with money is their life sucks.
Yep.
It doesn't have to be that way. You choose the way you want it to be, and I'm choosing to do it the right way, just as you are, you know, where you're not killing yourself over work. You're working for something that you actually love and care about.
Yep.
So you do it the right way, and inspires you to be better in every category. You know,
Exactly.
when I was running the marathon, I worked harder at work because I was motivated more because I got up and ran 9 miles.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, I'm going to the fucking office, you know?
Yeah.
It wasn't the other way around where I would run 9 miles and go home. Now I'm motivated
now I have to go work.
Yeah. Now I'm hyped up. I'm like, yo,
Yeah.
motherfuckers, you know?
Right, it's all in, all out mentality, right? It's like once you're doing more, it's like it makes you motivated to do more. It's like, oh man, don't you have too much going on? It's like that's right in my
Put more
wheelhouse.
shit on my plate.
Yes.
I need more on my
Yes, exactly.
plate. Whenever I'm busy, give me more shit to do.
Good, you know. It's like you ever listen to
Jocko Willink.
Jocko, good. You know, I always say that at work, like we're just a bunch of bullshit all the time with our systems and whatever. Could go on and on, but sometimes I'm just like, good. Like it is a joke, but at the same time, it puts my head in a different spot. Like, all right, it doesn't really matter. Just do it. You know,
100%, dude.
Head into the
100%.
storm.
Yeah. But back on the business. So that's going to be our model for the schools. We're pitching at Ketchum tomorrow. And then our goal is to get 3 schools by the beginning of the school year. If we get one, with our speeches, we'll make enough money to quit. Because we put our expenses together, like what does it cost to live in the city, to pay my mortgage, and like, he pays me rent. My cousin, he lives with me, so he pays me rent. So like we put all of our expenses together, like how much do we, you know, like Hormozy talks about, just reverse engineering.
Yeah.
Right. Starting with what are all the things we have, and how do we work backwards to get to where we want to be.
Solve for it. Yep.
Yep. So we know how much we need to make. It's like, all right, even if we just did one in school, 1 day a week, and then we had our speakings on the side, we'll be able to do it. So we think by the beginning, by the beginning of the school year, we're going to quit our job.
Good.
And then, so going back to this, he went to that center, crappy experience. I never had to go to rehab, but I've been very in tune with the sobriety community. And when I moved to the city, that was when I was trying to figure out what I want to do. I'm like, I know I want to do something in sobriety. Why don't I reach out to some sober people that have some centers and whatnot? So I actually linked up with this guy who was he was a 20-year in investment banking for 20 years. He's a managing director at this investment banking firm called Lazard, like one of the top banks in the world.
Lazard?
Lazard.
Run by lizards?
Yeah, basically.
The lizard people, baby. We talk about that all the time.
So he was going through addiction and whatnot, and came out on the other end and ended up quitting his job a couple years later, and he started these centers. And like investment bankers, like these guys you're making money hand over fist. Like that's, investment banking is the guaranteed track to become a millionaire. Like if you just stick into it, if you just do that job, like there's no really other jobs that can guarantee you to be a millionaire.
Solar.
That's true, but you have to I guess in investment banking, you obviously have to push yourself to because it's like 100-hour work weeks, but it's just like the system itself. Like solar, there's something about it where you have to actually go out and like motivate yourself, where it's like the investment banking, it's like if you just stay in it, like you have to do the work, but there's
the job and stick around.
Track, it's like the track is like all you have to do is follow the track, and it might be a 100-hour a week track, and you have to be pretty smart. You don't have to be amazingly smart. People think like, oh my gosh, you're crunching numbers. You do the same type of formulas over and over again, or whatever. You know what I mean? It's not nothing that crazy, but it's like a guaranteed track to be a millionaire. Whatever. I'm getting off on a tangent. And so he quits this thing.
Thrown solar in there. Fucked them all up.
I'm like, wait a second. Because like solar, it's not like, you know, you gotta go out and you have to do. It's not like, I don't know. I'm just trying to compare it. It's like even my job though. It's like if I just stayed in my job and did it for a long time, that doesn't guarantee.
I promise you, solar to me is the same as investment banking in that category. Solar to me is the exact same as investment banking. I've seen so many people. I've seen people that
I think it's a less guarantee. Let me like, I think it's just a less guarantee. Like,
a lot of people fall out. They fail in solar.
But how many people fail in investment banking?
I don't know.
Some people drop out for sure.
Yeah.
But it's like if you just stay in, if you can stay in investment banking, you're guaranteed
long
money.
enough. Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I think solar, you have to actually like, there's something like almost better about it. It's like you have to actually go out and get yours. You know what I mean? Like to make
Definitely
sales.
have to apply yourself.
Yeah.
No. I get what you mean. It's hard to say exactly what you mean, but I get it. Like investment banking, if you stay in it for the period, it's literally you're guaranteed to be.
So if you just stay in solar, I'm just like I'm gonna follow Zach. Like you can't just you can't just come to the meetings. Like you got to go out and actually like.
Correct.
You know what I mean? So yeah, I think it's just investment banking is just like it's like a hamster wheel, and if you just stay running the wheel, you're gonna do it. You know what I mean? Like, but I know what you mean. Same deal with solar. So like I get what you're saying at the same time, but. Anyway, I don't know what type of tangent that was, but this guy, sorry, these reels are gonna be hard to edit. You're gonna have to go through like 10 fucking minutes later. You're like, God damn it. But he has these centers in Connecticut, and I ended up getting linked up with him. And so I got to start to understand the business model that he was running. Like I got to ask him about all his operations, like how he got started, what his numbers were. So basically, like he does sober living homes. They're called recovery community centers. Basically, after you get out of rehab, you've heard of halfway houses.
Yep.
Halfway houses, their model is basically like you stuff a bunch of guys in a house and like, you know, they're 4 to a room kind of deal.
It's not a pretty place.
No. Recovery center, it's basically recovery for the wealthy. I don't want to say it's just for the wealthy, but you know, it's out of pocket. It's like, but it's a holistic experience. Like they're super hands-on. You're with like-minded individuals. It's a really nice place. It's like the upscale model essentially for halfway house. Because halfway house is like you pay a couple $100 a month and you're living in a shack. You know,
it's a halfway house that works because it's paid for.
Yeah, like it's expensive.
Listen, if you put money into stuff, it just works better. That's how it works.
It's 100% true. So started to learn about that, and I'm like, what stops us from opening one of those? Like okay, I don't have a lot of money, but what stops somebody from giving me money to open one of those?
Right.
So our goal is we're gonna have the money raised by 12/31 to open a center in New York City or somewhere within that area that whether it's have the money raised, somebody gives us a house to use, whatever it is, because people are, you never know how it's going to come.
By any means.
Especially in this community, people just love to give, not even necessarily money. Like they love to give their time, love to give their advice. Like I've met rich, sober billionaires. Like they might just want to like give us a house to use. You know what I mean? By 12/31/23, we'll be in the works of opening one of our own centers, but it's not called the Recovery Center. It's called the Elevation Center. So basically we're applying all those principles that we would be doing in that classroom, teaching people about mindset. And it's about building yourself up. How can I build myself up physically, mentally, spiritually? So it's, there's going to be some sort of fitness stuff involved, just health in general, learning new skills, whatever type of skill you want to learn, right? Like it can be, how to make money, how to handle your finances. It could also just be like learning how to play the piano, forming hobbies and passions, right? I think there's the difference between the centers that I was going to with that guy is like they're older people, and those people, their problems are a little different in the sense that they already are high level people. Like they're high level people that just have an alcohol and addiction problem. Like they still know how to make money though, and like they have those habits ingrained.
Functioning alcoholics.
Yeah, where it's like kids that are in that stage are usually like it takes up more of their lives. So there's
how are you going to be?
The mindset needs to be developed more.
Right.
It's different. It's a different type of mindset development where we think we would excel in that type of stuff compared to like somebody who's older. Like same deal, you know, we relate on that level. We just went through it.
Right.
We you know, we have the passion, and you know, we've been helping people for a long time. So who's to say that we can't do it? So our goal is to open those type of centers, and you know, we want to have one. You know, be in the works of one, like have some sort of deal in line by the end of the year.
That would be huge.
Yeah.
That'd be incredible. You can affect a lot of lives with that. And then what is it, like they're in there for a couple months?
Yeah, so, you know, usually it's stuff like this is 90 days is usually like a good, it would probably be like monthly, you know, case by case. There might be some people who, you know, you get the people that, my son's in trouble, you know, kind of like what I was. It's like, all right, like he needs to get his life on track. Maybe it's just 30 days, you don't know. But there's other people that are way deeper like that, you know, that need the rehab, they need the therapy, you know. And like, we're not out here trying to be therapists. Like my cousin and I, like, we're not doctors. We don't, you know, we can't, like, we can help you, but we're not going to like give you medical advice, you know what I mean? So there's different, we have to know our boundaries, but we can teach you mindset. We can get you pushed in the right direction and give you accountability, put you in, like,
a lot better than medication.
A lot better than medication.
That sounds better than what some
Mindset over medication, you heard me?
I like that. I
You
like
heard
that.
me?
Yes, sir. Just getting people in that type of environment where it's a bunch of dudes that are trying to better themselves. Like that sounds pretty freaking awesome to me. It's like you just get thrown into a house and it's like you're going to be with 12 other dudes that are just like you who are all trying to just learn new cool things, like pick up a language.
That's
like I'm learning.
It's like a
Powerful.
badass TikTok house.
Yeah, basically a TikTok house, but make it self-improvement and make it on your grind.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Dude, your environment matters so much. When we built
So
this,
much.
we weren't always in this studio where we are now with my office upstairs. We had a meeting, you know, I don't know, 8 months ago, and we're like, dude, let's build my solar office on top of your studio and let's be together all the time.
So smart.
Do you know how much work we're gonna get
No.
done?
I had that idea and everyone was like, that's the dumbest fucking
Okay,
idea
whatever.
ever.
Was it?
You
Was
want
it
to
his
tell
idea?
the whole fucking story? We can start at the top.
No, we don't have to. That's the whole story. I said we should fucking have
Nobody
everything
said it was a
all in
dumb
this building.
idea.
You guys are like, that's stupid.
Negative.
And then
I
it was
said-
the best idea ever.
It's pretty sweet.
Whatever you want to say. I never said it was a bad idea, but we don't need to go on that tangent. Anyway, yes, we're all here now, all together, all the time, all
So cool,
wanting to
dude.
work.
Love it.
And bro, it's escalated everything we do by tenfold. You know what I mean?
It's true. When you're around like-minded people and everybody wants to go in the same direction, it's pretty easy to
And
go
dude,
that direction.
Even as self-motivated as I am, and as by myself, when you go to an office by yourself every day, it's kind of fucking boring, and you kind of
Yeah.
I go in motivated, and like 4 hours in, I'm like, I'm fucking bored in here, you know?
Yeah, I
you
mean-
gotta need some people, some energy.
I like working in the office, like most definitely. People are like, oh man, I wish we were remote more. I'm like, I like
Fuck that.
I like being around
Socialize.
people. Like it's crazy, you know. Like I don't understand how people just like working remote. It's because you know when you're remote, things
don't
get
gotta work.
Yeah, you don't work. Elon Musk is like people want to work remote because they don't want to work.
Yeah,
very
like,
simple.
everybody get back in the
Absolute
office.
truth.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, you know, you can't hide if you're in the office. So
Yeah.
like I like working in the office because you're interacting with people. You're the mentors that you need are right there. You know, like the bosses that I have, all super knowledgeable in the industry. Like if I wanted to be, you know, the next billionaire in insurance, I feel like I could do that. You know what I mean? But that's just not really where my focus is. Like I do my job and I do it well, but I think I go above and beyond, but I don't go above, beyond, and beyond. You know, to the point where it's like, okay, I could do it till 9 o'clock.
Because you have a real passion, though.
Yeah.
But how you do one thing is how you do everything. So you're not going to half-ass it. You're still
Right.
working your ass off at it. But you really want... You're solving for another problem.
Exactly.
You know?
I'm not coming up with, I'm doing my job and I'm doing it well, but there's, you know, I feel like if I was really like, I want to climb this ladder, it would be, you know, let me pull data from these different aspects of our business and like come up with new analytics for us to like sell insureds on why our program is better. And like I've thought of ideas like that before, but I'm like, okay, that's gonna take me so much time. And
It's
like
New York City talk right there.
and I don't have the passion. Like that's not what I don't want to be in insurance forever. You know what I mean? Like
What's your title there?
I'm an underwriting assistant.
Okay.
So I have a senior underwriter above me. I take The submission comes in, you know, it has the whole account, financials, loss history, their prior policies.
All right, you lost me. Stop.
All this stuff, insurance-wise. I analyze it. I put it in our systems. I break it down, you know. I just basically summarize it, and then I will note a bunch of stuff. I'm like, okay,
Guy fell off a fucking ladder 2013.
Yeah, exactly. And like you analyze the losses, like, okay, shock losses can happen. Like people can fall off ladders, that's fine. But if you see some different types of patterns where like maybe there's late reporting, like they reported it 3 months later and they've done that multiple times. Well, that's why are they reporting it late? Like that's messing up how we would handle the case. Like you have to look at little intricate things like that. I feel like I'm at the point where I can analyze my own small accounts. They don't think I'm there yet. I would like to get a couple bones, but I also don't care that much because I know it's not permanent.
It's not your passion.
I mean?
Yeah.
So,
all right, Tony, why don't you hit us with
Well, I got two.
your favorite question? Oh, you got
Because
one more?
there's no way we're not sitting here all night and not talking about Spider-Man in the streets.
That's right.
Tell me about the
new
Spider-Man.
Spider-Man.
I love the Spider-Man.
What's your superpower,
What's
baby?
your thought process
Let's
with that?
go.
Why the Spider-Man?
Okay, so with TouchStreets, I knew I wanted to do something on the streets of New York City. I was like, my first idea was I'm gonna go out with a mural, a blank mural. This was months before. And just, you know, get people to answer a bunch of questions like, you know, what is one attribute of yours that, you know, makes you tough, or just ask them random questions. What is something you're grateful for? And then like creating paintings with it essentially, that people from the streets made themselves. So, like that was my first idea, TouchStreets. And then I was like, you know, my cousin and I came together and I was like, why don't we just like work out in the street, make videos about it, and just talk to people and see what happens, you know? And so I bought this like portable pull-up dip bar set for like $600, or like breaks down and comes apart, and then it's pretty cool. But we just go into the middle of, it's called Union Square. It's like kind of lower Manhattan. It's a little like less touristy, more New Yorkish. And we just had a pull-up bar, dip bar, push-ups, and we would just be working out there, and we had an A-frame sign. And we were just like, wanted to tell our stories to people, anybody that came up, ask them if they wanted to make changes in their lives, and try to like basically like do mini life coaching sessions.
What's the sign say?
Do you want to create a change in your life? Ask us how we can help, something like that. And then what, why, how, when on the bottom.
Like that.
Something like that. It was cool. Like, don't get me wrong, but at the same time, like, I was really having to go out of my way to get people to come up to us. Like I thought it was gonna be like, oh, people are gonna see us working out, and just be like, see two buff dudes working out, and be like, oh, why are you guys doing that?
Yeah, it's just New York. They see a lot of crazy
people.
shit.
Yeah, people see a lot of crazy shit. People are busy, and also like you see 2 6'5" dudes dressed in all black, like you, and just working out. You're like, we're probably look kind of intimidating. You know what I mean? So it was me just being super.
One's bald.
One is bald, and. Yeah, they, you know, and tatted up. Very tatted up.
So you are tatted up.
So
oh shit, cut.
Nice.
Yeah, I'm on his level, you know. So get your levels
What,
up.
you have the left arm, right leg?
Left arm, right leg.
Oh man,
Let's
too.
go, dude.
Okay, I got carbon fiber leg. Fuck those.
My whole leg ain't even a leg. My shit is metaled up.
Basically, one day we're out in the middle of the city working out, and this dude called New York City Rat, I think his name is, pulls up with the mask, super famous on TikTok, millions of followers. And all of a sudden, there's like 100 people around him. And we're like, dude, we're trying to raise awareness around substance abuse, mental health. And all of a sudden, this weird rat dude has 100 people surrounding him with cameras. And I'm like, yo, guys. I'm like, to my cousin, I'm like, dude, would it be crazy if we just like wore Spider-Man suits and we were kind of like the meme, like the Spider-Man meme, and we just worked out in the streets? And it was like,
Fuck,
he's like, yeah, I guess it is crazy, but our whole motto is extreme results require extreme action. So we're like, dude, if we just do crazy stuff that people have no balls to do. If they don't have the balls to do it and we do it, we're going to be successful. We just keep doing it.
All right, so
we're like, dude, dress up in Spider-Man suits, work out. We did it last weekend. Hundreds of people. I'm telling you, hundreds of people recording. Tens of people just coming up to us, like just wanted to talk to us.
Last weekend was the first time you did it?
Yeah, the first time we did it was last weekend.
You got a lot of footage from
it. We did. Oh, dude. It's too much footage from just one day.
Yeah.
It's like enough for 15 videos, you know what I mean? 15 TikToks.
I know a guy if you need editing.
So really interesting that you just said that. Interesting that you just said that if you want extreme results, you have to do extreme things. The last guy we had on our podcast, Danny Izzo, The last question I asked him is, if you have a message to anyone out in the world, what's your message? And he said, you have to do the things that nobody else will do, because that's how you stand out. So it's just weird that was your answer to the last question I had. But I do have to ask you as well, what is your message to everybody out there at the end of the day? And we'll end it on that.
You live one time, and it's cliche, you live one time. And I know life, we have to go through and enjoy it, but why not go achieve the biggest things? Like the things that people tell you is impossible. Why don't you just tear down those limiting beliefs and do the things that nobody believes you can do? Because the first step is just believe in yourself. And if you believe in yourself and you put action towards that belief, everything's going to come to fruition. It might not come to fruition how you exactly plan it's going to come to fruition, but it's going to happen one way or another, and ways that you will never even imagine it. Like, I didn't think I'd be wearing a Spider-Man suit working out in the streets of New York City right now. I'll tell you that. But that's what we're doing. And so far, the feedback's been like, before I was kind of like, do I really want to work out on the street? Like, I'm like, all right, let's do it. Like, yes, we have to do it. Now I'm like, I can't wait to be out in my freaking Spider-Man suit, being a jackass on the street, telling my story, So just extreme actions require extreme results. Go out and just do things that give you a little bit of fear, that you're a little like uncomfortable to do. Do uncomfortable things, run towards it, because then you'll live the life beyond your wildest dreams.
Beautiful.
I can't agree more, bro.
That's it.
Everything, what is this saying that was just said the other day? Shit. Everything that you want is on the other side of discomfort, or something like that.
That's right on par right there.
Yeah, something like that. But Luke, thanks for coming on the podcast. This was a pleasure.
Guys, dude.
That was a great podcast.
It was awesome. Seriously.